Welcome back, friends, to another episode of the Zephcast, the show where we get to know your favorite content creators, streamers, and podcasters alike. I am your host, ZephyrsXP, and with me today, we got YouTuber, Twitch streamer, and my good friend, LoweDownJustin on the show. Thank you so much for being here today, dude. How's your day going today, man?
Yeah, thank you for having me. Yeah, my day's going well. We've just finished the stream. It's like 11 o'clock. But yeah, like after stream, I'm always buzzing. So this is kind of the time when I'd like sort of perk up. I might play Apex with some friends or just chill and vibe. But yeah, I'm excited, man.
Are you usually pretty good about like streaming for a couple hours and then you can still play games right afterwards, or do you have like a little bit of a buffer beforehand out of curiosity?
I'm almost forced to have a bit of a buffer because the time I stream means I don't have dinner. So on stream nights, my dinner is at 10 o'clock at night. So gotcha. Eat, and then I'll come back and just sort of see who's online, see if there's anybody streaming that I can sort of lurk or mod for. And yeah, maybe play some Apex or whatever else. Yeah.
I always find it so interesting, like when people stream at different times. Because I'm like a bright early in the morning, 7 a.m. streamer, right when I wake up. And yeah, some people are like in the noon, some people are late afternoon, and some people are like evening streamers. Are you like more of a night owl yourself typically?
Generally, yeah. Like I'll happily sleep in for an extra half hour, like every morning. It's a bit rough. Like my stream schedule is kind of determined more by the other factors in life. So I've got like a full-time job, so I work from 8:30 till 5. Gotcha. Monday to Friday. So the times that I'm able to stream are pretty limited because of that. But yeah, I think I've kind of got a good balance now. On stream days, I sort of finish work and I've got like 25 minutes to set up and then go live.
Do you work from home right now?
Yeah. So this room that I'm in now, I spend 60 hours a week in here.
Ooh. Work and stream.
Yeah, work, stream, game. If and or when I can get time to do YouTube content, I'll obviously do all my editing in here as well. This is pretty much, I spend more time in here than in my bedroom.
Yeah. Have you seen that movie or it's like a documentary on Netflix? I think it's called Inside. Bo Burnham's Inside, out of curiosity.
Yes, I love that.
I watched.
I thought it was going to be way darker than it was, and it was like a genuinely entertaining. I really enjoyed it.
Pretty upbeat. It was. I watched. I didn't finish all of it, but I watched a little bit of it because everyone was telling me like, if you work from home or do stuff in like one particular room, it's like you got to see it. And I found a lot of stuff that I resonated with a lot from it, especially like streaming from home, like streaming from this place, YouTube, everything in this one spot. It's like we kind of do live in this little box, especially if you work in the same place as well. So technology in the world is interesting nowadays. Sorry, what were we gonna say?
No, I was gonna say, like, one of the ways that I kind of combat it, because obviously I spend so much time in here and my community knows about this and they make fun of me about it, but I rearrange the room. And it's not like I'll just move something. I will remove everything from in here. Really? Change out like this desk, like where this seating position has been here. It's been in this corner. It's been against that wall. It's been against that wall. The only wall it hasn't been against is this wall. But like every sort of couple of months, I have to do it because otherwise I'd be climbing the walls.
I kind of do that a little bit with mine where I'll like rearrange stuff, but it's really good to do that with spring cleaning, just around like your house or anything, and just kind of picking some stuff up, moving it around. And even though it kind of can be a pain in the butt to move stuff around, it's also a good way of throwing stuff away that you don't need, or donating, or just kind of getting rid of stuff, some of that cleaning. Usually with the podcast, I always love to start off with an icebreaker question, though, to kind of dive in before the real questions. You think you're ready for a fun icebreaker question, Justin?
Yeah, let's go. Let's do it.
All right. I thought this one was pretty interesting when I found it. If given a ticket to travel to any country around the world, which would you choose and why, out of curiosity?
Oh, that's an interesting one. So I've been lucky enough to do a good amount of travel. Grew up in Africa. I've been to lots of places in Europe and Australia and the US. Honestly, I think probably somewhere in South America, maybe Venezuela, Bolivia, not for the reason you're thinking, naughty YouTube people. Just because, like, I've never trekked through a forest, like a rainforest.
Yeah.
Like I've been through woods and forests, right? But like
forest.
Yeah, like the forest, right? And I just think it would be insane seeing these trees that are like 200 feet tall and like you can't see the sky, the kind of forest,
right.
You know what I mean? And I just think that would be super, super cool to do. And it's on the bucket list, but obviously issues in those countries mean it's not really likely to go there anytime soon.
Do you ever feel like because we spend so much time with technology in front of computer screens and smartphones and TVs, like our whole world is just surrounded by technology, sometimes we lose some of that, a little bit of that connection to the earth with like the trees, go into like the deserts or traveling around the world and seeing stuff like that?
I think so. But it's interesting how quickly you adapt to not being plugged in. So like a couple weeks ago, Erin and I went on vacation to the south of the UK.
I saw
and
that.
where we were staying, there was no phone signal, and I mean nothing. So effectively the phone became a camera, and that was it.
But it feels great,
and
doesn't it?
It's super fun. It became like you kind of have to adapt pretty quickly. So like we don't really plan out our holidays too much. So what ends up happening is we'll sort of say, right, where are we going today? And we'll kind of figure it out. So we'd get in the car and I'd say, okay, where are we going? I need to put it into sat nav. And she'd get out her phone to get the address. There's no signal.
Right.
So she'd have to go back up to the house, connect to the Wi-Fi, download the address, come back to the car.
Such first world problems, but
yeah, right.
it makes you thankful for, I mean, when you think about it, you can just grab your phone and just with cell phone data or with like Wi-Fi, just stuff can appear. It's like a genie that you can ask anything and then just it pops up information. It's really kind of wild when you think about it.
It's crazy. I mean, I've got some friends that kind of don't like it. They sort of say that it kills conversation or it makes people lazy. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think it's changed the way we interact. I think it's changed the way we deal with things.
Yeah.
You know, gone are the days are arguing in the pub about who that one guy in that one movie was, because you just IMDb and it's like it's that guy.
Right.
But it changes. It's difficult. Like phones and having access to all the knowledge that humankind has ever created.
Blessing and
but
a curse.
All of the other stuff as well.
Right.
It can be a dangerous thing as well. I think we should treat that kind of thing with more caution than we do. But
it's a weird world too, because like I mean, some people think of the internet and they think of like social media, and other people think of the internet and they see, you know, like YouTube stuff in it, or like a browser like Google to be able to just ask any questions and dive in. But like sometimes I feel like with social media in particular, it's almost more similar to like alcohol, where it might be fine to just have a little bit here and there, but you really shouldn't be spending hours a day on it. And I mean, it can just drive you crazy, from like mental health issues that people come out from it, or just living their life on Twitter or on like, you know, Facebook and all of these social media apps. It's kind of like, I agree with what you're saying. It's completely transformed. I don't know if for better or for worse, but it has completely transformed the way that people communicate around the world.
Absolutely. And it's like, yeah, somebody said once, I thought it was quite funny, going through Twitter is like going into a public bathroom and reading everything written on the walls.
That's so true.
And
actually,
it's like some of it's clever, some of it's funny, and some of it's just not.
Right.
And it's that mixed, right? And it kind of when I now view Twitter through that lens of it's just stuff written on a cubicle wall, you can then just see the comments that would normally cause rage and cause you to be like on your keyboard. Right. You'd be like, well, it's just a person writing a thing. You do you. Like, you know what I mean?
That is so true. And I think it's weird too, because like in the past, if you wanted to get your voice out there on a newspaper, on a TV or something, you had to be like a big person. You had to be have money behind you. And now just anybody can make a Twitter account from anywhere in the world with like any amount of voice or income or knowledge or anything behind them, and then can just start, you know, messing stuff up essentially, and putting out false information, putting out good information, becoming an expert in something, or throwing out disinformation. It's a scary time and a fascinating time at the same time.
It really is. And like one of the things is obviously like we are effectively the first generation in history to have to be in a position where literally everybody on the planet can have the same platform.
Right.
And that is in some ways a genuinely terrifying thing, because like you say, you don't know if that person is going to use that platform for good or for not, you know? And if you say something with confidence, people will believe it.
That's so true. People will buy what you're selling, whether it's true or not.
If you make people believe that you believe what you're saying, the battle's half won.
Right.
So yeah, it's a scary time. It's an interesting one, but I think we're at the moment, the way that it's kind of going, we're kind of in this transition period. I think if you look at like the last sort of 10 years, there's been like an acceleration of these kinds of accounts that are, depending on your viewpoint of the world, are either spreading the truth or disinformation. Like everything's viewed through the lens of perspective, right?
Right.
But I think a lot of these platforms, whether it's because of pressure from governments or from their user base, are beginning to sort of maybe view it a bit more responsibly. Maybe not everybody should have an equal voice on every subject. Everybody should be allowed a voice. I 100% believe that.
Same.
Everybody should be able to get their message out. But the difference is that not everyone's opinion on a matter should be registered equally. If you have somebody that has 10 years experience in a sector, their opinion on matters within that sector should mean more than just me who's typing things that I'm making up on my keyboard.
I completely agree with that. Like some weight behind it, some expertise, almost like a Twitter check mark, you know, the verification check mark.
A tick next to your name, right?
if only we could have that for like sections of our life that we like actually are truly experts in, and then when we go to vote on stuff, it could be like, all right, everybody gets a vote on this, but the one with the check mark maybe gets a little bit extra of a vote. that could go bad so fast, though. That's the thing with humanity. It's like there's so many great ideas out there, but there's always going to be people or like a particular person who's going to want to ruin it for everyone.
Yeah, and that's kind of the situation, the reality of living in a society, right? Is right. Jim Jeffries, an Australian comic, does a skit which I won't go into because it's full of lots of demonetization words, but he does a skit where it's basically we can only go as fast as the slowest members of the society. Now that's not like sort of saying that, I'm not talking about slow being linked to sort of mental proficiency. I'm just like, if people drive their cars fast and keep crashing and dying, speed limits get put in place, right? There was a time when cars existed, there were no speed limits, and then people kept crashing and dying, so they added speed limits. And it's kind of like that, and then everybody has to pay that price because we live in a society.
Right.
And so that's kind of coming in. We're kind of all paying that price. But what you're sort of seeing now, especially in the last couple of years, is larger and larger groups of people that refuse to pay that price. Right. There's a pandemic that's killing people, and it's like, it's only 1% of the population. 1% of the US population is 4 million people.
It's a lot.
It's a lot of people, right? To stop all those people dying, put a mask on. I don't want to. Well, but that's the price we pay to live in a society, no?
Yeah, that's an interesting take on it. The like rules of society. It almost sometimes feel like, I mean, if we are kind of going like on a political section in and of itself, like it almost seems like governments sometimes are more reactionary rather than kind of jumping in at the moments they should, like kind of perceiving, at least like here in the United States, like our government is very like bad stuff will happen, craziness will be out there in the free market, and then once it gets to a point where too many people are dying or something's going on, then they'll kind of jump in on it. And I don't know if that's, I feel like as I get older and the more I learn, the more I realize I don't know anything, and I just feel more like I don't know about so many aspects. So I don't know if that's the right way to go, or if they should be more stepped in right away. I don't know. I don't know.
That's a difficult one, right? Because a proactive government is interesting because you're then talking about governments legislating against things that aren't necessarily affecting society at that time.
Right. So it's like, why are you putting this in place when it hasn't
why are you telling
yet?
us to wear masks when there's nothing to worry about, right?
Right.
But also there's the other side of that is like a government or any I mean, a government can be seen as like an organization, right? You have a small group of leaders at the top disseminating orders, edicts, whatever, down to middle and lower management. But a government is an enormous organization, millions upon millions of people working within it, right? To get anything to change direction in an organization that large takes time. And you add into that then that organization is already entwined in like bureaucracy and red tape. To get any government to do anything quickly is bonkers.
Yes.
And when you look at like, let's use the Rona for this one. When you look at the nations that acted super quickly, right? They're all nations with populations less than 10 million total population. So like, you've got a country with a population less than that of New York City.
That's crazy.
There's a reason they could move quickly.
Right. Very interesting.
But yeah, so. Yeah, I mean, you could say, people were dying, right? So you could say they didn't move fast enough. And yeah, but also it takes a lot of time and effort to get anything done in any kind of government.
I completely agree. I feel like it's just complicated stuff like that. It's never going to be perfect. It's just trying to push it as close to that as possible. And yeah, I mean, it's just a weird time that we live in with everything, with governments, with masks, with COVID, with the world, with people, with society, with doing meetings and stuff online. It's kind of a weird world all around. But with all the craziness of the world, that has gotten a lot of people to stream on Twitch, to make friends on Twitch. And that kind of does stem me to the next question, which is, what originally got you interested in wanting to start streaming on Twitch out of curiosity?
So I kind of fell into streaming. I shortly before COVID, like literally a week before we were all sent home in lockdown in the UK, and our lockdown lasted about 9 months, realistically. I started a new job. I had been working remote. I'd live in a town in the north of the UK, north of England, called Manchester. I had a job in London, and I was working remote. And the travel and stuff was really rough. So I got a job locally, and the idea was, brilliant, I have an office locally, I don't have to work from home anymore. I spent a week in the office in that whole job, and then they sent us home, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm working from home again. And I was just kind of like, I couldn't go to the gym, I couldn't do anything, so I built a PC. I'd never built my own PC before. I'd been console gamer my whole life. So I built a PC, and I was just I kind of uploaded the build to YouTube. I thought it'd be cool. I was watching like a lot of LTT and Bitwit and stuff on YouTube, and I thought, that could be fun. So I uploaded that, and I was doing some bits and pieces on YouTube, all of which is now gone. Like the videos were so bad. The videos were so bad. They were so bad. They were filmed on a tiny GoPro. That actually, I don't know. It's got a transition. I won't do it. Oh no, I can actually. Hang on, wait. Oh no, I'm in the wrong scene. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It was filmed on a tiny 1080p GoPro with no mic. They were bad. But yeah, I was doing that, and my cousin, who'd been streaming on Twitch for a couple of years, said, "Well, you should stream." And I tried it for a bit, and it was interesting, and then it kind of just snowballed. I went from streaming to as everybody does. People don't believe this, but everybody starts streaming to literally no one. And I went from that to then, 3, 6, 10, 15. And then I fell into this amazing community like a year ago now. And then it all just freaking snowballed. But yeah, I kind of just fell into it and realized that I loved it.
Did you kind of start streaming specifically like more for yourself and like didn't really have many communities you're involved in? Because like when I started streaming, I actually started streaming before I like had any interaction with Twitch at all. I had no idea really what Twitch was. I just kind of wanted to play a game and record my reaction for it. I'm like, why not stream it too? So I kind of went the opposite approach, where some people who like are really involved in communities right out the gate, and then they're like, I think I'm going to start streaming too. A lot of those people hit affiliate super fast. They start growing their average viewers really quickly because they're already involved in other communities. Were you kind of like that, or more kind of like how I was, just starting with games?
I was completely oblivious. Like my cousin was like, you should start streaming on Twitch, and I kind of then like installed Twitch on my phone, right?
Yeah.
And was like watching his streams and thought, this seems like fun. And then just one night at like literally 11:30 at night, I was like, I'll try and stream. My first stream was like 34 minutes. It was short. I didn't know that your stream should probably be about 2 or 3 hours minimum.
Right.
And no one joined in. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then I tried again. But like the thing that really did it for me was my second stream. Somebody I absolutely did not know dropped in and stayed for the whole stream.
Ooh.
Which was crazy. And they were just like, just sat and enjoying the game with me. And that was like, oh, that feeling of like somebody brand new joining in, that was enough. And I just sort of rode that wave and carried on. And now I do this.
Now here we are. It's so
Yeah.
it's so true though. Like I that's one great thing about smaller communities on Twitch versus those thousands of viewers ones is, you know, when there's only a couple viewers or a couple people chatting, it gives you a lot more not personality, but like you can connect with them. I feel like more.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can talk to them more. You can kind of like hear more about them versus like, thank you for the donation. Thank you for the donation. Okay, thank you for like doing stuff like that. So I feel like sometimes people sleep on smaller communities on Twitch.
They do, and it's interesting because like I follow and even sub to a couple of like big streamers, right? I've never spoken in the chat ever.
Yeah.
Because it's too intimidating. I just see it just like flying up, and it's like, no, it's okay. They know the people that are there, and that's fine. And I'm happy to just be in the crowd.
Right.
But it's an interesting thing, and it's kind of something that I think a lot of streamers worry about. They're like, oh, what happens when, especially like in early days, right? If you remember back to when you were like sort of averaging 3 or 4, and I bet you were thinking, oh God, what happens if I get to 20? I'm not going to be able to keep up.
You figure a way.
You find a way,
right?
But like, there's
a lot of lurkers.
Somebody said an analogy to me that I thought was quite interesting. It's a bit like if you follow a band from the very, very start.
Yes.
And you go to their small gigs, right? It's you and like 4 other people in the crowd.
Right.
After the gig, you go to the bar, you have a drink with them, you chat with them, whatever. Fast forward 10 years and they're playing arenas. That relationship has changed, but you're there to then be with the other people that are there to see the band.
Yes. I was actually going to make that exact analogy because I've had someone say that same thing. Like, you know, the XQCs and Pokemains of the world with 20,000 people. It's almost like they're performing for an arena, whereas some people with like 20 viewers or 30 viewers, they're performing for like a smaller club, and then someone with like 1 or 2 viewers is more of just like performing with their friends.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think having that perspective is really important too, because it's so many people are focused, especially like sometimes I see in communities that we share a part in, like sometimes so many people are focused on just climbing the mountain as quickly as possible, getting that partner, and then hundreds of viewers, like that's all they see. And I feel like if you enjoy each step of the process and enjoy the 20 viewers and the 30 and the 50, and maybe it drops down to 20 again, and it's like a wave that goes up and down, and as long as you enjoy like the actual aspect of streaming, of creating content, and of meeting new people, it'll all work itself out in the end, I feel like.
Absolutely. And there's a thing, like you say, lots of people are target focused, right? I need to get to affiliate.
Right.
I need to get to partner. I need to get to 50 viewers. I kind of feel like you're not enjoying the process. You're not enjoying the day to day. And also, if you set a target, if you set a finish line, affiliate is my goal, that's my finish line. You get to it, and what you end up with is, yes, I got it. And then there's like the come down.
Right. Now what?
Yeah, it's, oh God, sure, you know what I mean? And I kind of feel like if you're just sort of being part of the process and being like, this week was better than last week and I'm enjoying what I'm doing, for me personally, that's a much more healthy relationship. I was making those mistakes, you know, we all were, I'm sure, where I was like, oh God, I really want to get to 20. And then you get to 20 and it's like, okay, I got to 20, now what? How do I keep them? What do I do? And it's like, if you're focusing on the milestone, you're not concentrating on the process.
I completely agree.
Which is why, like, I'm not bothered about if somebody wants to pay for affiliate, that's fine. It's just some emotes. If you want to pay for affiliate and get monetization sooner, that's fine. That doesn't diminish the community or the following that I've built. Fine, I had to spend whatever 2.5 months getting to affiliate the hard way.
Yeah.
But if you had told me on my third stream, just give us $20 and we'll make you affiliate, I'd have fucking paid it. Sorry,
Right,
I'd
right.
have paid it. Bleep,
No,
you
yeah.
can leave the bleep.
Oh no. Very laid back. If you drop the F-bomb, go for it. Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think people, I mean, even when you get affiliate, like, I don't know. I don't feel like there's much you get out of it aside from the sub button. And I mean, that's kind of it. So not diminishing the importance of that for, I do think having emotes, and it's a great way to kind of interconnect and build your community with them. But I feel like sometimes we put so much emphasis on that affiliate tag or the partner tag, or, just seeing the numbers and not enjoying the process of the growth, the creativity of it, the sharing with other friends of our successes and our failures, and just trying to learn from it each step of the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I kind of had a shift recently where I was like, this is my hobby. This is what this is what I do in my spare time, and I love doing it. And yes, sometimes I can make some money from it, and that's good. Because my last hobby, which was mixed martial arts, which I still can't do, I definitely wasn't earning money from that.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you
to be in a position in any hobby, right? Whatever that hobby is, to be in a position within a year to be able to make any money from it at all, that's a privileged position, and I'm happy to be where I am, and excited to see where it can go. But I'm not racing towards anything, because it's not why I started. It's not what I'm here for. Right. I'm here to play games and talk to friends and build relationships.
I completely agree. Do you almost feel like Twitch is a better part-time side hustle than it is for those people aspiring for full-time out of it?
I think Twitch is interesting. Twitch and YouTube and the sort of the new media platforms, Rip Mixer, right? You kind of get out of them what you can put in. So, and it's not many things allow you the flexibility to do something 2 hours a week and still sort of progress, right? Or if you want to just go full send and go full time and see how it goes. For me, it works as a part-time thing, but that's because like it's only viable as a part-time thing currently.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that it gives me the flexibility, because if it was something, and I'll make this analogy, right? TikTok requires so much time and effort to be active on that algorithm, to not get your videos buried. You have to be posting 2 to 3 times a day.
Right. That's so much.
Yeah. So to be like a part-time TikTok personality is not viable.
Right.
It takes 20 minutes to edit a clip, and you've got to then make them as well. Like, and to do that 3 times a day and have a job and have a life and have a family. If anybody can do that out there, I doff my freaking cap to you. You're a superstar. I tried it for a few months and it was just like, nah, I can't do this.
Yeah.
So I pared that back because it was just like, it didn't afford that flexibility, so I had to let it go.
I almost feel like there is so much sometimes that it's so easy to get overwhelmed with the umbrella of content creation. When you think of Twitch and YouTube and Instagram, and some people do like OnlyFans and Patreon, and there's so much.
And Fan House and Ko-Fi and
right. There's so much. And I almost feel like it's better to just pick maybe like 2 or 3 social medias that like you love and you consume and you use, whether that be Reddit or Patreon or YouTube or whatever, and just focus your energy on those. And like, who cares if somebody's killing it on TikTok? Like, if you never use TikTok, it doesn't matter. Or if someone's killing it on YouTube, but like you don't use YouTube. So I would definitely say that's something I've realized myself, is I was trying to do something on everything, and I'm like, maybe I should just pick like 2 or 3 and just go 100% on them, instead of trying to give 20% effort to like all 10 different platforms, Yeah,
absolutely. And also, like, it'll come through in the content you put on those platforms. If you are not comfortable doing like loads of TikTok or lots of Instagram or whatever else, it'll come through in that content. If you genuinely like streaming and making long form content on YouTube, that'll come through in the content, and then you get the rewards from that.
One thing I actually love specifically about your content is you're one of the very few creators on Twitch I've seen that actually has their own website Where did you kind of get the idea from that? Because that is actually really unique. I don't see a lot of people on Twitch that have their actual own website.
So the website is just a domain, which I bought for like $1.
Nice.
It's hosted by Streamlabs.
Oh, okay.
So if you don't have to use slobs, but if you are signed into Streamlabs, their web service, they have an option in there for a custom tip page, right? So it was initially designed for your donos,
right?
But if you go in there, it's a web page building tool.
Interesting.
So you rip out the dono stuff and you can build a whole website, and then there's a subsection, like I know why people don't know about it, because it's like hidden away in a corner in Streamlabs.
Yeah.
But there's just a subsection in there to just take over a domain. So I went to GoDaddy, paid for LoweDownJustin.com or whatever it is, and for $1, and then transferred it onto the Streamlabs. So my website is literally the Streamlabs dono page.
Wow.
But I've built it out to be more
like Twitch
friendly.
Like
it's Twitch friendly. It's like, it has loads of plugins. It's got plugins for charities. It's got plugins for YouTube, because my YouTube content's on there as well.
And your merch.
Yeah, you build in the merch store as well. It's a cool tool. It's got its limitations, and I've had to work around some bits and pieces. But yeah, it's a free website hosting tool, basically.
That is really cool.
I was tempted, like we talk about YouTube and stuff, I was tempted to make a YouTube video and say, if you want a website, there's a free one waiting for you. Yeah. It's here. But honestly, when I was looking at it, I think it's just so niche, it just wouldn't get clicked through. It's something that I like, and like people have sort of seen it and gone, oh, that's great. And I'm like, well, it's easy, it's just there. But
right.
I seem to be like the only person that's clicked it.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Can you track like click-through rates on it?
Yeah, you can link in SEO.
That's pretty cool.
It's so, yeah, I think I registered for it to be put up on the UK, because I had to sort of say whether or not it was European or US. So I've registered for it to be on Google. So theoretically, if you search for Lowdown Justin on Google, the website should come up in like top 3 or top 4, which is pretty cool.
That is really, really cool. Yeah, I haven't seen many other streamers that have, unless they're like really big ones, that have an actual like their own website. So when I saw that, I was like, you do, I think you mentioned one time that you do coding, right? And programming like for your job. So I was almost thinking like, did you code your own website yourself from scratch?
Oh no, I'm a complete pleb when it comes to that. So I deal with like data warehouses and stuff like that. So but like I have no formal qualifications. My background is, I started out sort of in banking and then moved across into data and analytics. So I know one programming language, which is rare in data. It's SQL.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Which is literally just asking a warehouse for what it's got in its database. That's it. That's all it does.
Yeah.
But you can use it to like build stuff out. Which I mean, that's rare in my sector, like literally knowing one language, but it's, you know, it's working for me.
I'm actually taking like some coding classes right now, like through Skillshare, and yeah, the ones I've kind of been learning about, like HTML, CSS, Python. Yeah. But they very much are like, once you kind of get one down, learn another one. With coming from like banking over to doing that, did you already have an end goal? Like that's what you wanted to do, or did you take classes for learning the language yourself, or YouTube, or?
So I'm going to say that, and it's going to sound like I just fall into a lot of stuff and just things work out, but I fell into this as well. Gotcha. I started out as a cashier in a bank and worked my way up into sort of commercial lending. So working with businesses and stuff like that. And a big part of that was dealing with the management information. So if you lend out money, you might want to see weekly accounts.
Right.
So they'd send in the weekly accounts to make sure, you send in the weekly accounts to make sure that they can repay the loan.
Probably a good idea.
And I was to make my job easier, because at heart I'm a lazy person. I would write Excel models that would I could punch in the accounts and they would give me the answers.
Ooh, I like that. Convenience.
So I was doing that, and like when people were sort of seeing that, and some of the stuff that I was building was being adopted just within the business, and then like I became the data guy within the banking bit that I worked in. And then the guy that was literally running the data team, because there was a whole reporting and analytics team in the business, sort of called me up and was like, "You're doing 2 jobs. Do you want to just do that job but over here?" And I kind of fell into it. I knew nothing about coding or anything like that. I literally learned on the job. I have no formal qualifications.
That's super cool, honestly. I mean, I feel like if I was a manager and saw someone doing that, I would immediately think like that's initiative. So why not go after and talk more about it? So that's actually really cool, honestly. That's a good story for like landing a job.
Yeah, just being lucky.
Right, just being lucky. But I mean, taking initiative and just trying to like think outside the box, and convenience really does bring with it so much creativity sometimes, because I'm kind of the same way with stuff. Like, I'm a sucker for, when I got my Stream Deck, the very first thing I did with it was program everything to launch with the click of one button. It's the best thing in the world to just have like convenience. I'm a sucker, so I'll pay more money for Elgato lights if I can one click a button and just everything automatically pops up. So I relate a lot to that. Kind of going off that, I did notice you got a pretty awesome microphone, if I do say so myself.
As
a fellow tech head myself, I know the excitement that comes from like unboxing a brand new piece of streaming hardware. So I gotta ask, what's been your favorite item you've acquired to upgrade your killer stream setup since you started?
Oh, he says, looking around.
It's a tough one.
Honestly, the thing that I was most excited about, because this was literally my dream piece of kit, right?
Yes.
When I looked at this, I thought, I'm never going to own that, is the camera I'm using.
Ooh, A7 III,
I'm using
right?
a Sony A7 III, which for streaming, for what we do, is so beyond overkill. It is insane. It is a 4K 30 FPS camera. It is bonkers, and I managed to. Like, my brother-in-law, my wife's sister's husband, is a wedding photographer, and I was talking to him on WhatsApp, basically saying, I'm thinking about getting the 6100 or the 6400, the Sony, because they're 4K, blah blah blah. Which do you recommend? And we were talking bits, and he was like, the 6100 is probably good because the 6400's got weatherproofing, you don't really need that, blah blah blah. And we kind of got onto the A7, and I was like, honestly, my god tier camera is the A7. I would love it. And he went, the A7 III, and I went, no, not the A7 III, right. The A7. And he was like, I'm selling my A7 III secondhand. You can have it.
What? Oh,
and I picked it up. Like, I got the friends and family discount plus, right?
Oh my goodness.
Getting this secondhand, I got it half what that would be. Like, it was legitimately a steal. I paid £100 more for this than I paid for my 5100.
Holy crap, that is a steal.
Yeah. So when that actually arrived, there were butterflies.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy.
You also have the is it the Sigma 1.4 lens as well? Yeah. That's just like the creamiest lens.
It's so good. The 1.4 and the 18 mil, I think it's 18 mil, just gives that bokeh effect is so good. But the autofocus on it is so fast.
Yeah.
Like, if I move back, it tracks so quickly.
Right.
Which means, because I use this for vlogs as well, and it's really good for that.
I have the Sony A7R II. It was, I think, like a 2015, 2016 camera. And we bought it for like my wife's business for photography and everything. And then when I decided I wanted to start streaming, I actually bought a Logitech webcam for like $70 right at the start of March when all the craziness was happening. And then right when it got delivered the day, I watched a YouTube video from Alpha Gaming that showed how you can just use your DSLR mirrorless camera. And I'm like, $100 for the cam link or $70 for a webcam. I should probably go the cam link route. And it's great. The actual interesting thing is it has so many megapixels. I think it's like 49 megapixels or something, but it actually makes like low light pretty noisy. So sometimes if you look carefully, there will be like a little bit of noise around me, which kind of drives me crazy, but it's great camera. I love it. I've been thinking about getting that Sigma lens as well, because I see so many people with the 1.4 and I just absolutely love it.
The Sigma lens is so good because you can lock it at 1.4, which means the aperture is wide open. So this is low light. For me, you can see like a little bit of noise in the nanolith behind me, but that's more the actual refresh rate of the LEDs more than anything. But yeah, set the aperture to like 1.4 and then set your ISO as low as it will go, and all of that noise behind you disappears. It's so crazy.
Good. Yeah, the one I have is I have a 28 millimeter f2, so it doesn't quite get open enough to like that 1.4. I have a 1.8 55 millimeter, but like when that's on, it's like right up in my nose. So
yeah, 55 millimeters. That's basically telephoto at that distance.
Right, right. Do you have your camera mounted to your desk, or is it like on a tripod or anything? Out of curiosity.
I got like, it's similar to the Elgato multi-mount thing. But it's designed for a camera, so it's got the quarter inch thread on it, and that is basically just clamped to the back of the desk, and the camera sits on top of that.
Nice. Again, all about the convenience, right?
Yeah, all about the convenience. And I've also got I don't have any nearby. I've got a quick release clip on it, so I don't have to unscrew the camera.
Yes.
So that I can literally just hot shoe it onto a tripod or whatever else.
That is definitely the way to go.
Yeah, it just makes life so easy.
Yeah, because when it's easy, then you're more likely to do it. You know, if you have to like set up your camera every time you're going to stream or every time you're going to do a YouTube video or anything, you just all of a sudden in the back of your head start finding reasons why you shouldn't do that video today or you shouldn't stream today. So yeah, just sitting down, pressing a button and going just makes you more likely to get in the zone and be ready for it.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of like the cost for convenience factor. You know, if I look at something and it costs like $30, but it'll make something like taking the camera off the mount easier. I only have to use the camera 3 or 4 times and it's paid for itself.
I completely agree.
So again, I'm just lazy. That's all it is I'm lazy. but I'm a strange kind of lazy, because I'll happily do work to mean that I don't have to do work tomorrow. I'll do work today.
I'm the same way. Yeah. I'll do the work, but I'll also be planning how to do the work more effectively so I can do it shorter tomorrow and then shorter the day after and shorter the day after that. So big brain thinking, right? Another one I got for you, I think would be pretty interesting. And this is definitely more on the Twitch side of things. What has been your favorite game so far that you've streamed on Twitch and why? I know that's a tough one.
It is. I kind of want to bring up a list.
Probably not Dark Souls 2.
Definitely not going to be Dark Souls 2. I wonder. I'm gonna say Bloodborne.
Ooh, yeah.
Because Bloodborne for me was the game that kind of was where my viewership literally started to explode. So like, and like explodes, it's a relative term, right? I was sort of streaming to 3, 4, 5. I started playing Bloodborne, and then I was streaming to 12, 15, 18.
Yeah.
So you know, you tripling viewership. But not only that, Bloodborne got me involved in a load of communities that I'm still really active in now, and lots of amazing people. It got me involved in some amazing games. It's an amazing game anyway. But yeah, it opened a lot of doors, and I wouldn't be where I am now if I hadn't started playing Bloodborne on stream.
There's something special about the Soulsborne community, especially on Twitch. Like people just like Bloodborne is special. I'm pretty similar.
They're a very, very committed bunch.
Yeah.
Like genuinely, like they will literally there are Bloodborne viewers. Do you know what I mean? Like there are people currently watching New World, but in 2 weeks will they still be watching New World? Probably not.
Right.
But there are like Bloodborne and Soulsborne viewers.
Yes.
And that is brilliant for a lot of reasons, but it does come with and I will say this, it's a very small minority, but some really not great people as well. There's a lot of in the Souls community, and again, this is all minority. This is a huge minority. That's just, you know what I mean. This is a minority of people. It's a very small number of people.
1%, not the 99.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of gatekeeping.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of like, it's gatekeeping. It's how could you play the game this way? Oh God, you're using twin blades. Twin blades are OP. You may as well not be playing the game. Like
really?
As if
someone said that?
Not to me, to somebody else that I know. But like, yeah, they basically came and said, oh, the viewer came in and said, oh, you're using twin blades. You've ruined your playthrough on Dark Souls 3.
What?
Exactly, right? It's like, but that's the gatekeeping. It's almost like, you know, they people don't own how somebody else enjoys content.
Exactly.
And if somebody wants to play a Dark Souls game and use every OP weapon in the game, fine, good.
Right.
You know what I mean? Good for them. Enjoy the game. Like, but some people like take ownership of like your playthrough, and that to me is something I won't miss, because I've now effectively moved on from Souls games. But that is something I won't miss, and it's something that is prevalent across the entire Souls genre. And it doesn't matter. Like, I've seen partnered streamers who legitimately have hitless runs in every Souls game available, and people are coming into their chats and trying to backseat them on the games.
Probably not the person to backseat on that one.
Yeah, right. And they're like, just I've played this game hitless. Please stop trying to tell me how to play it. But like, and it's so yes, the Souls community is super special, and I'm forever grateful to everything that I've managed to accomplish with them. Some of them can just take it a bit far, I think.
Yeah. I've definitely noticed a little bit of that playing through them. Like, I started with Bloodborne, Demon Souls, and then went 1, 2, and 3. And I'm on 3 right now. And there's a couple people on occasion who will be like, wow, I can't believe you didn't first try this boss. Or when I played through this game, I was able to beat that boss. Like, why are you struggling with it? And I'm like, what? Why is that even a question?
Oh, I call them
I call them extraordinary.
Yeah, like, I was playing Metroid, and somebody like, it was my first playthrough. I always, if I'm doing a first playthrough, I always tag a first playthrough, no spoilers, no backseat, on all my games. And I was playing Metroid for the first time. I was like, it was my first stream of the game, right? And I was maybe an hour and a half into the game. Somebody came into chat and literally said, I've just finished this game in 2 hours 37 minutes with one hand. And I was just like,
cool.
Good. Right. Do you want to say hello, maybe?
Right.
But I don't know. I can't believe you didn't first try this boss. It's the first time I played the game.
Right. I think I saw you mention something on Twitter a couple days ago about that, like people kind of coming into chat and just slyly making a comment like that. It's like, you could at least say hello first, before doing stuff like that. Yeah, it's like a weird gatekeeping / putting down / and this is literally like 99% of people that I've encountered on Twitch are phenomenal. It's just that
supportive and lovely, and they're like, oh yeah, I really had trouble with this boss as well.
Right.
You've got him. Maybe try this.
And that's
right.
the
But
great
every
thing.
now and then you get someone going, oh, I first tried this without getting hit. Well, good for you.
Right.
I'm not you.
And that's the cool thing I feel like with Soulsborne is the best thing about these games are definitely the bosses and the challenges of the bosses.
Yeah.
But you can watch somebody, like, I thought it was really interesting when you, me, and Barmies we were like all playing Dark Souls 2 at literally the exact same time, same places and everything. So when I get done with my stream, I'd watch the two of you and you'd literally be in the exact same spot I was. And it's really interesting to see who struggles with what boss at what time. Maybe one of us could have like first tried a boss and the other it takes like 20 times, and then I go struggle against a boss that you maybe first try or get after a couple tries. But it's so interesting how different builds, different ways of playing, different aggression factors. Some people are really defensive, some people just two-hand and go hard on everything. But it's so fascinating because the games are very flexible in that way, and you could play as a mage, you could play as a dex build or a strength build or whatever, and it's always going to be a different experience, I feel like.
It's brilliant in that way. It's like, I really like how singular an experience with these games can be. There are that guy Izzy, right?
Yeah.
One of the most technically gifted gamers I've seen, spent 4 hours on one reborn in Bloodborne.
On one reborn?
But that's just that's just the boss he struggled on, right? He second tried other bosses and first tried other bosses that I spent hours and hours and hours on. But like, we're not all the same, and it's one of the few games where like the bosses are all difficult, but they're all difficult in different ways.
And for different people. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, it's the only game series where I've had that, where it's like, if something's difficult, it's just difficult because it's just a gank fest or whatever, and it is what it is in other games. But like,
right,
in the majority of Souls games, Dark Souls 2 excluded, the bosses are all really tricky.
Kind of.
I could turn this into a Dark Souls 2 rant, but I'm not going to.
I did have a couple Dark Souls 2 questions. But one I think that would be interesting beforehand to kind of lead into that is, like, we got to talk about like Soulsborne in general, in the sense of like, what is your favorite Soulsborne game you've played out of all of them, and favorite boss from the whole series if you had to pick one?
Oh, okay. So favorite Soulsborne game is going to be Bloodborne. And I was sort of saying this on my stream today. Like, if you ask 99, ask any Soulsborne player or streamer, 99% of them will tell you that their favorite one is the first one they played. And it's the one that sort of gets you interested in the genre. You don't play all of the others if you don't like the first one. It's kind of my feeling. And they all have, the interesting thing about Souls games is they all have such a high barrier for entry. Yes. And that's a whole nother political argument, right? Like, we could talk about games needing accessibility for people that aren't, as able as other people. But like, that aside, all of the Souls games have such a high barrier for entry. If you make it through the first one, you have to have really enjoyed it.
Yes.
Because they are not easy. So Bloodborne was my first one, and that is my favorite. I've played that through on stream 5 times, including a Deathless run.
Hell yeah.
And favorite boss?
Who's gonna be?
So I think my favorite fight is Lady Maria.
Yes, same.
Because it's like a deadly dance, right? And she has one-shot ability through almost the entire fight. And it was one of the first fights where it was basically you effectively have to be inch perfect for the whole fight, otherwise you die. So that fight is probably my favorite. But my favorite boss, just because of the theatrics and the arena and the craziness, you might not have got there yet, actually, is Nameless King in Dark Souls 3.
Ooh, I have seen that's one of the few Dark Souls 3 bosses I have seen, and holy crap, yes, that looks amazing. I'm excited. Yeah, it's a hard as nails fight. I think that took me something like 7 hours, but the whole thing was fun. It was entertaining. It was very, very pretty. So that boss is probably my favorite, but Maria's the best fight, I think, in the series. I would even add kind of what you're saying before, like your favorite Souls game is the first one you play that gets you into the series. I would even add the hardest Souls game is probably the first one you play, because like now that I've played like 5 or 6 of the games, now when I'm coming into Dark Souls 3, I feel so confident in like first trying or second trying a lot of the bosses and just rolling through the game. And I feel like if this was the first one, I would be dying dozens more times at this point.
Just wait till you start Sekiro.
Oh god. Oh man, we were talking about that on your stream a little bit today, right? It's like, I think Suit said it's like Guitar different. Hero meets Soulsborne.
Yeah, it is. And you like dodging doesn't help. We can get into the weeds here with this a bit, but like the iframes from dodging in Sekiro are almost non-existent. Your invincibility frames are really short. So you have to learn very quickly that dodging isn't your friend.
And it's all
which is a really hard lesson to unlearn. You've played 5 games where dodging is the only thing that keeps you alive.
Very interesting.
So yeah,
you just gotta
that's gonna be fun, but you're gonna love it.
Just gotta go into like each thing with like parrying is the way.
Yeah, and it's Sekiro, more than a lot of them, is all about patterns. Like the bosses have very predictable patterns, apart from 2 have very predictable patterns. Then yeah, there are 2 that are literally just chaos, which is going to be fun.
I'm excited for it. The one thing I've actually been kind of critical with the Souls games since I've been playing through all of them is I know some people love the lore and the story with how it's set up. Coming from like JRPG games and Final Fantasy and stuff, I really kind of wish there was just a little bit more cutscenes. Doesn't even have to be about the main character, because there really is like not a main character. It's just a very ambiguous person come to save the world kind of thing. But like if there was more cinematics with like Lawrence or Wilhelm or Father Gascoigne, or just like a couple bit more here and there. And I kind of do wish there was more area themes, like if Old Yarnum kind of had like a motif theme underneath it of music, or just like, I don't know, the Cathedral Ward had its own song. The boss music is amazing and epic and amazing and in all of the games have outstanding soundtracks, but I almost feel like there's this absence of music, and then right when you get into the boss, you're probably not focused on the music because you're trying not to die. So
exactly when I played Dark Souls 1, right, and I'm fighting Gwyn, who's the final boss in Dark Souls 1,
that music,
chat is going plin plin plon or whatever, and like, what are you talking about, plin plin plon? They're like, did you not hear the piano? No, I was concentrating on the difficult boss fight.
I actually didn't even like really listen to the Bloodborne soundtrack at all until I beat the game and re-listened to the whole thing on Spotify afterwards. And then there was so many moments where I'm like, I remember that music, but now I'm like really listening to it, and now I've the entire Soulsborne soundtracks of all of them are like favorites on my Spotify to just continuously listen to. But yeah, it's so like, what do you think about that? Do you think having more cinematics, more story, more like musical things, kind of maybe taking a little bit of that JRPG-ness and kind of infusing it would ruin it? Or do you think it's having it be very off hands is the way to go?
I don't think it'd ruin it. I think, you know, every other game out there can handle exposition dump, right? And actually telling you what the story is, and it doesn't ruin the game.
Right.
It's very Miyazaki, the director and head honcho at FromSoft. It's kind of his storytelling style. And the intention is that you're supposed to read all of the lore and the descriptions on every item, which is impossible to do when you stream the game. Right. And if you stream it as a first playthrough, you're never going to get the lore. I'd rather I didn't have to watch lots of YouTube videos to find out what the story is of the game I was playing.
Just gonna say that,
honestly.
Vati videos for the win.
Yeah, and then you don't know if like a lot of the lore is inferred. Right. You don't actually know that that's the story. It's just kind of inferred from odd snippets here and there. So yeah, I think it would be nice to have the actual story baked into the game. I don't think it would ruin it. It would make it a different game.
Right.
But that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Like, even if it was the exact, like Bloodborne was the exact same Bloodborne, but maybe there was just like double the amount of cutscenes, or maybe just each boss had a little bit more backstory to it, or like maybe just more cinematics that led up to it. Specifically with Bloodborne, I mean, I think everyone who has played the Souls games, like Bloodborne is Miyazaki said it's their GOAT. Most people say Bloodborne is like the best one. It's all up to opinion, of course, but I am same boat as you. I think Bloodborne is just probably top 3 or top 5 favorite games I've ever played in my life, and it's really special. But when I finished it and was talking about it, I'm like, I kind of understand very vaguely what the story was, and then after watching Vati videos, like the lore behind it, and talking to Suits about it, going back through and playing it for a second time, there were so many things where I was like, oh, I get it, that's cool. Like, there was so many light bulb moments, and it just made the second playthrough like infinitely better because I knew what was going on.
But the interesting thing is, so like the first time I played Bloodborne, it wasn't on stream. The first time I didn't even play it. The first time I tried to play Bloodborne, it wasn't on stream, right? And coming from any other game, you kind of expect the game not so much to hold your hand, but maybe give you a bit of a tutorial and maybe tell you what's going on, right?
Right. And
you get into this game and it's nothing. It's nothing. So like my first playthrough, I'll never forget. Erin had bought me a PS4 for my birthday. And Bloodborne was one of the games she got me with the PS4 because the guy in the shop said it was a good game, right? That's I knew nothing about it. It was my first ever PlayStation. So I start playing this game. I get through the clinic eventually. And then I get to that little bit outside the clinic where there's the 3 guys, the guy with the axe and the 2 guys sleeping in the car, right?
Yep.
And you've got to pull the lever to drop the ladder. Where does it say to pull the lever? Like, there's nothing.
Unless you're like right in front of it, and it prompts, right?
Unless you're right on top of it and it says pull lever, right? So I got through that bit, killed those 3 guys, and then walked around for 20 minutes going,
Where'd it go?
Now what? And like then thought, well, I mean, the game's broken, and turned it off and put it away for 2 years.
Oh no.
And then started streaming and whatever else, and then picked it up. But like the only reason I started picking it up was actually Studini was doing a Let's Play on YouTube, and he's a friend of mine IRL, and I was watching his Let's Plays, and I was like, oh, you pull the lever.
Right. Isn't it funny just how like weird mechanics like that, so many people, like, it really makes me wonder how many people miss things like that throughout games. Growing up playing Final Fantasy VII, there's an area where you're like going through the slums and you have to go through this weird like garbage area, and then you get to Wall Market beforehand. And when I was a kid, I spent literally out like dozens of hours going through that whole area trying to figure out where to go, and it was just a simple underpass. You just had to like go under a bridge area, and it feels so obvious now that I've played it so many times, but like as a kid I'm like, I have no idea where to go. I've been playing this for like 100 hours and I'm just literally have nowhere to go. But it really makes me appreciate good game design as I get older, and just when something is maybe a little bit more like prompt in front of you. Souls
and
games,
it's like,
or sorry, what were we gonna say?
I was gonna say it doesn't diminish the game. Like there are a lot of diehards that we can get, getting into the whole game should have difficulty options, right? There are a lot of diehards that are adamant that having an easy option for a Souls game would ruin the game. But I disagree. I think that it makes it accessible to a larger amount of people. You want to play it on hard option's still there.
I actually had this exact same conversation a few days ago with the other guest that I had on my podcast beforehand, Augustin JP, and same thing, was asking like if there should be a difficulty mode, and I really do see both perspectives. Like I get the perspective 100% that having it be open to everybody, 100% of people can experience it. I'm 100% like, I get that. I also do see the argument though that if only like 80 or 70 or 60% of people can like really have the reflexes, have the time for it, have the patience, have the know-how to get through it, it almost does create like a camaraderie, a group, like a brotherhood, a Soulsborne community of people that did it. And I don't want to say got good, but like, you know what I mean, but like did go through and get good. Exactly. Exactly. So I'm really torn in the middle. Like, I don't know if I have a dog in this fight, because I do see both perspectives fully. Yeah. And he was even saying like, if there was a difficulty option, he probably would have gone for the easy or normal mode. And now that it like forced him to, there's only like a hard mode pretty much with these Souls games, and it forced him to do that. It's almost made him and me, like it's made me look at other games where it's like, maybe I will try it on hard mode now that I get a little bit of that challenge.
Well, this is it. So like, yeah, it absolutely builds that camaraderie, and I think that's one of the things that makes the Souls community so tight knit, which is why we all did it, right? And that's why when you go on Twitch, no matter what time of day, there's like 1,500, 2,000 people watching a game from 13 years ago.
Right.
Like,
it's crazy.
Do you know what I mean? And yes, there's that aspect of it, but also I don't want this to come off the wrong way, but it also leads to some people having an air of superiority.
Elitism.
Right? Yeah, a little bit, right? And yes, you did get good, and yes, you got through it, but that doesn't make you that doesn't make that person necessarily better than somebody who couldn't get through it.
Right.
We all sort of sit at different levels, right? I don't know, but like, yeah, I get it. But you get onto the other side of just basic accessibility. So there's a guy that's on Twitch that I follow on Twitch and Twitter called Rudism, who is currently playing Dark Souls 3 with one button.
What?
Using Morse code.
What?
Right? So like double tap is move forward, two short and one long is move left, blah, blah, blah. Have a look.
What?
Rudism. It's spelled as it sounds. But he's doing it sort of in tandem with able gamers. To sort of say, games should be accessible to everybody. All games should have difficulty levels. You know, you can still do challenge runs on games and have them on super hard if you want.
Right.
having an easy mode in a game doesn't make the game less challenging for you.
Yeah.
If you don't want to do it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
no, I get that. I almost feel though, like, because I've talked to some people about this exact conversation, and you know, some people who really struggle with the Souls games and have not been able to get through them can then pick up a game like Hollow Knight or Celeste and just cruise through it. And then there's me, who has done multiple Souls games and finished them to completion, but then I pick up something like Hollow Knight and I really struggle at it. Like,
I hated Hollow Knight.
Right. And I love so many things about the game, and I really do want to get back in and play some more of it. But like, it was really hard for me. I think it was harder than any of the Souls games that I've played, honestly. But like, maybe are there just some people who are like made better for certain games? Maybe is it a factor of patience and just like continuously beating your head against it? Because some people, like we talked earlier, like they'll first try Ornstein and Smough on Dark Souls 1, and then there will be me spending like 3 streams worth, like 5, 6, 7 hours, like 50 times, and then finally get it. I don't know. I don't know if I have a dog in this fight per se, because I mean, at the same time, because there's not a difficulty setting, when you do finally take down that boss, it's the best feeling in the world.
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
And
it has, like, we joked about you just getting good, right? It has made me a better gamer, right? It's made me, but in a strange way, like I can now identify attack animations, which I never thought about before in a game. And I can identify dodge windows, to the point where the first game I'm playing after playing Souls games for a solid year, I've had to up the difficulty because the normal difficulty was too easy and I was legitimately getting bored of the game.
Horizon Zero Dawn,
so
right?
I had to increase the difficulty. Horizon Zero Dawn, I had to put it on hard because like the combat was just a bit too simple. And I'd like done 8 hours and died twice.
Right. I kind of
so I had to,
or even like, because I know Miyazaki is pretty passionate about that, and there's also a part of me too that's like, I mean, at the very end of the day, I do want it to be up to the creator of the game to decide what they do and do not want to do. So like, if some creators like Miyazaki are in that, on that side of the road, that's like, you know what, we're not going to have difficulty modes, and that means there's going to be 20, 30, 40% of people that will not be able to get into the game, but it's going to make those people who do get into the game more passionate. And I almost kind of think of it similar, like with streaming on Twitch, there are some people who like don't want to have any religious talk, political talk. They want it to be like a very controversial free zone and to kind of appeal to more people. And then there are some people who do dive into that, and it does push some people away, but the people who do stay, who, you know, maybe they said something controversial or they said something political that some people don't agree with, it almost makes the people who do stay stronger, you know? Yeah,
and I get that. And like, it's a fine line. You can't like bully people into, you know, you can't bully people and everybody into the same way of thinking, right? The thing that makes us strong as like a society is that everybody does have a different point of view. And I mean, you can't force FromSoft to add difficulty levels or difficulty settings. Although that said, they just do it the other way, right? There's a way to make every one of those games more difficult.
Right, New Game Plus.
Well, not even New Game Plus. So Dark Souls 2, if you pray to the rock, the game gets harder.
Yes.
In Sekiro, I did that by mistake.
Yeah.
I joined that covenant by mistake. I did like 12 hours streaming it, and someone was like, "Why are you in hard mode?"
In hard mode.
Yeah. In Sekiro, you can do it. You can ring the demon bell, and that makes the game even harder.
Interesting.
So there are ways to make the game harder. So from that point of view, Miyazaki's already kind of said, well, actually, there can be different difficulty settings within the game.
Right.
But if there's a way to make the game harder, then it, you know, just because, right, here's a good shout, right? Just because you can ring the demon's bell in Sekiro, which makes it harder, which means you take damage if you don't do a perfect parry. So the parry window in Sekiro is relatively broad, but there's like a much smaller window for a perfect parry.
Gotcha.
If you don't do a perfect parry, you take damage, right?
Interesting.
But just because there's a demon bell that you can ring doesn't mean all the hitless runs that have been done without demon bell aren't valid.
Right.
They've still completed that game hitless. So having an easier mode that might make the game a bit more accessible, still make it challenging, still make it tough, but maybe not impossible for people who aren't 100% like that, don't have the best reflexes, or might be not as able as other gamers.
I totally get that. I feel so like torn in the middle, like because I'm pretty.
You can see both sides of it, right? But it's like
right. Very, very much.
It's tough, and you can't prescribe to somebody. You can't like shout at them and say you have to have difficulty, because it's their creative content, it's their creative vision.
Exactly.
It is what it is.
Yep. And that doesn't make me upset about games that do have difficulty, and it doesn't make me upset of games that don't have difficulty. It's just like I feel like I can appreciate each one for different reasons, you know?
Exactly.
Kind of speaking on that, one that I think you're going to absolutely love. We have both played Dark Souls 2, as I mentioned a little bit earlier. We both have our own opinions about the game, but asking you, what do you think could have been done to make Dark Souls 2 a better game for you, Justin?
So I spent a long time thinking about this. So I started off Dark Souls 2 kind of saying, oh, I hate this game for the memes, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like
the black sheep of the family.
It was me. But honestly, I would have loved to have loved the game, because it just makes my experience of streaming it much more enjoyable. At the end of the day, I didn't like the game. And I did have a long sort of think about what it was about the game that sort of rubbed me the wrong way. And the answer was that Dark Souls 2 isn't difficult. Now, I need to qualify this, because we've just spent 20 minutes talking about difficulties in games, right? Dark Souls 2 has the illusion of difficulty by adding in lots of mobs.
Yes.
That aggro forever. They chase you far longer than any other Souls game. So you can't, like in most Souls games, right? Once you kind of figure out an area, you can realistically just run through a sector to get to a boss or to get to a region, right? My kind of playthrough of those kinds of games is, if I can genuinely get through an area and kill everything along the way and get to like the next bonfire or whatever, then I'm not going to do that the next 50 times, because I've kind of proven to myself that I can do that. I know how to get through there. You can't do that in Dark Souls 2. They chase you down. They're faster than you.
That is so true.
And
you can permakill though.
You can despawn, which is an interesting, I mean, again, we're talking about difficulty modifying, right? That's an interesting way to make the game easier. So there is like almost like a mercy rule in the game. But my main issue was that Dark Souls 2 it wasn't difficult. It was unfair.
Mobby. Gangfest.
Sorry?
Or like mobby, full of gangfest.
Yeah, it was mobby, it was gangfest. So like, and it just seemed unfair. It seemed unbalanced. It seemed like there were too many mobs that could do too much damage to you, and the bonfire placement wasn't ideal. So like the runs to bosses were always through mob areas. You look at any other Souls game, once you can get to a boss arena, realistically you've unlocked one or two shortcuts that mean you can get there without actually that much interaction with mobs, because what you've done in the game is you've proven that you can get to the boss area. So your next challenge should be the boss. Your challenge shouldn't be to run through the same level, the entire level, 20 times. So there was that. And then realistically, you get to the boss eventually, and I didn't find them particularly challenging, if I'm honest. I think like the thing I enjoyed, like we've just spent 20 minutes talking about how games are difficult, and I'm complaining that it wasn't difficult, and I kind of feel like I need to kind of elaborate. So one of the things I love about Bloodborne, Dark Souls 3, Sekiro is you get into a boss arena and it's a learning experience, right? You're figuring out the boss, you're figuring out the movesets, you're figuring out what you can punish, where you can go, what you can do,
when to heal, when to dodge,
when to heal, when to not. So Dark Souls 2 bosses don't really have that. They all have very, very similar sort of movesets, and the reality is dodge forward and at an angle when they're attacking, you're going to dodge through and punish once and roll back.
Right.
One of the things as well within Dark Souls 2, which is more prevalent in Dark Souls 2 than any other game, is the heal punishing. So if you're in a boss arena, and even some mobs, if they are not stuck in an attack animation and you start to heal, every single one of them will make it to you and hit you and interrupt your heal.
Yes. They like know when you're healing and that's when to go.
Yeah, but that's scripted into the game, right? That's not AI. That's literally the boss is not in an animation, and they've forced it so that the movement phase and the attack phase happens before you can finish your heal animation, which takes a really long time in Dark Souls 2 anyway. So that's literally punishing the player for doing something at the wrong time, which isn't as prevalent in the other games.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it just seemed like a lot of Dark Souls 2 was about punishing the player rather than teaching them. And the other games were about teaching you, right? It's about, this is a boss, they are tricky, figure out the trick, figure out the gimmick, figure out how to get through them.
Right.
And Dark Souls 2 just felt like a punishing game, which is why I eventually that's not how I learn. That's not how I interact with the world, right? I do not react well to punishment. I react well to puzzles and to learning.
Yeah.
And the lessons can be difficult and painful, fine, but there was like no learning in Dark Souls 2. I'd kind of figured out the mechanics pretty early on, and it was just like being punished along the way.
Right.
So that's why it's a rambling answer. I'm sorry, but that's why I dislike Dark Souls 2.
Were there any bosses that you did enjoy, or any bosses that kind of stuck out for you? Because there was at least, of the games I've played so far, I really do think there was like maybe 2 from Dark Souls 2 that Fume Knight. I honestly loved Fume Knight. Fume Knight's one of my favorite bosses out of all the Souls games so far, because so much health pool, inflicts so much damage, but still like perfect times to dodge through. Was there like a boss or 2 that really stuck out for you at all?
There were some unique bosses. Like Dark Souls is really good at unique bosses. I mean, there's a lot of guys in armor, right? And but there were some unique ones. There was the weird frog one that was interesting. That was an interesting fight. The interesting mechanic that it was invulnerable for a lot of the fight. Honestly, though, like they all kind of blend. Mirror Knight was good. That took me 2 attempts. But again, like the boss fights I remember, and the boss fights that I enjoy, the ones that took me 7 hours. Right? Midir took me 7.5 hours, and I freaking loved that fight. Because it was a puzzle that I needed to figure out. And I think one of the reasons that I didn't like Dark Souls 2 is because I figured out the kind of mechanics that I needed to get through the game pretty early on. No boss took me more than 4 or 5 attempts.
Gotcha.
And that's not a flex. It's just like
there wasn't like a puzzle aspect.
They all had the same answer pretty much, apart from like the frog one, which was like, oh, okay, just wait till you can hit it.
Right. I definitely felt that with Pontiff a few days ago in Dark Souls 3, because that one was taking me like a whole stream to do, and I pretty much like went to just chatting, like we'll probably end stream here and we'll come back next day. And one of my friends redeemed like where I play for another 30 minutes. And on the very next attempt, finally got it, and it was just freaking out. But that one was also like a dance, very tricky. I haven't really fought a boss like this since like Bloodborne, maybe like Father Gascoigne. Like the speed was insane and all over the place. And I'm like, I have no idea what to do. But it was each round dwindling a little bit more health, getting a little bit better, starting to dodge, getting the second phase consistently. And then it just like one of the attempts, that was it. And I completely get what you're saying. Like when you spend 4 or 5 hours and you finally get it, it's like, yes, it's the best.
Yeah, and that's it. It's learning the moves and it's learning the attacks. And it's like, oh, I got to phase 2 really quickly that time. Brilliant.
Right.
I got to phase 2 hitless that time. That was awesome. And then you spend 20 attempts trying to figure out phase 2 or whatever, right?
Right.
And honestly, to me, I just didn't get any of that feeling from Dark Souls 2. None of it.
That's fair enough.
And that's fine. And there are people that like Dark Souls 2, and they kind of expect me to like hate on them or shout at them. It's like, no, it's good. I'm glad you liked it. I wish I had too.
Yeah.
But I didn't.
Right. And I mean, that's the thing, like kind of what we mentioned with the Souls games, like they all kind of have the same fundamental core heart of what makes them like a Souls game, but each one has their own distinct flavor with different bosses and different styles, and some will click with some people and some won't. So
yeah, like Demon Souls clicked with me super fast. I finished that game in like 16 hours.
Wow. Holy crap.
It clicked with me super quickly. I died like death total was like 49 for the full game. But that was just one that was just like, oh yeah, I've got this. I figured it out pretty quickly on. But that was an enjoyable game. But again, I couldn't tell you the name of any of the bosses. But that was an enjoyable game because it wasn't a gank fest. It was like, figure this bit out and crack on and explore and do that.
Did you feel like the bonfires in Demon Souls were pretty far spaced out? Because that's one thing.
Really far spaced, yeah.
Some people I've talked to about the game, it drives them crazy in that, because it like the bonfires all the way across the arena, and getting to there it's almost like the area is the boss, and then the boss is like the easy part.
Yeah, and most of the areas are built in like concentric circles, right? So you'll go in and you only have one option, and you'll do this whole area in like 40 minutes, an hour, and it'll bring you back to the bonfire. And it's like, okay, well, you've unlocked that shortcut now. Okay, fine.
But that's, the shortcuts and bonfires, when people see them in Souls games, that's the best thing for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
One thing I do gotta ask though, I did hear through the grapevine that there's some drama between you and ArgueBarmies about crossing that chain in Broom Tower. What was that all about, out of curiosity?
Nah, like I was just playing. Basically, I was sort of saying, that was quite a cinematic scene. Like that whole area was actually, it was quite well done. It looked quite good. But it seemed like there's like an open joke, and Barmies is in on it, right? He's like, oh, he's not brilliant at the games, but he just cracks on, and he has my unending respect for his just will to not be beaten by these games. But it just seemed like something he would fall off of a lot. Gravity, it's a long way to walk, and you've got to be really careful. And like there was a section maybe 2 days before, when I'd been in his stream, where to get from the bonfire to where he was going, you had to roll off a platform, drop down onto another platform, and the number of times he rolled off and just went straight off into the abyss.
Was it the
directly off the platform into the abyss? So yeah.
I love Barmies so much, because he's I relate to him a lot. Like right when I met him, I was like, I like this guy so much, just because he's so able to laugh at himself and to joke with himself. And I feel like sometimes as people, like, we just take ourselves too seriously, and it's really worth it to look in the mirror and to like take yourself as a streamer seriously, and take your community seriously, but take yourself, laugh at yourself, have fun with it, joke around.
Oh yeah.
And he does that in spades. And have you ever been in some streamers streams where they're just so dead serious, like there's not much wiggle room to joke around, and it just feels like tense and just feels weird sometimes?
I have, but honestly, like, you get the vibe pretty early on in those kinds of communities. It's just like, this isn't really like I'm like I can be trolling in chats. I'm a bit of like a happy troll.
Throw the kappa on occasion.
Sorry?
Throw a kappa.
I'll drop a kappa every now and then. I'm more of one of the kinds of ones that will like just put a little bit of a needle in there and then sort of tiptoe the line.
Right.
And yeah, that kind of stream, like if it's overly serious or taking itself too seriously, I probably wouldn't stay there very long anyway.
Yeah, same. And that's one cool thing about Twitch, though, is there's going to be communities for everybody and anybody.
Absolutely,
for better or for worse.
Absolutely, yeah. There's literally millions of us, right?
Right. Here's one for you, though, kind of stemming back a little bit on Soulsborne before we move on to the next subject. We're both no beginners when it comes to traveling through Yharnam. One thing distinct about us, though, is you have completed the Bloodborne Deathless run, which you mentioned earlier. Yes. What originally got you interested in wanting to do that Bloodborne challenge run? And do you think there's another Soulsborne game in the future you'd want to do that too as well?
So the Bloodborne Deathless run was an interesting one. when I first played Bloodborne, I was I just finished it. I was starting Dark Souls 3, and I was on somebody else's podcast. And I basically said on that podcast, one of the things I liked about Bloodborne was that it's like a wheel and spoke map. And there's not a lot of games where you can literally go from the very, very start area and effectively walk to the very, very end area.
Right. In Bloodborne,
and yeah, in Bloodborne you can, because it's open world. It's pretty linear, but it's open, and you can literally just walk from literally the clinic to almost anywhere in the game, apart from Canehurst. And I basically said on that podcast that I was thinking about doing a no fast travel run.
Ooh, like no
where
bonfires?
If you die or go back to the dream, you start at the clinic. That's the only place you're allowed to spawn in the game.
Interesting. That'd be pretty
And
cool.
then you walk back to where you started. So I said that, and I did that run. And it's like, it's not a real challenge run. It's, it doesn't exist on challengerun.com or whatever, but it was like a fun one to do. And then while I was doing that, I started following and watching GodGamer Kate.
Okay, yeah, I know her.
Hero. She's a hitless runner, soul streamer, amazing person, Twitch partner, just great streamer. And she was doing a hitless run of Dark Souls 3. And while she was doing that, I was like looking at it's the first time I'd seen a proper hitless runner, a proper challenge runner. And I was seeing her do that, and I was sort of thinking, if I was going to do a challenge run, hitless just isn't for me. I'm not really the kind of person that's going to learn hit rotations, or anything like that. But I thought, I've played Bloodborne a couple times. I really enjoyed it. I bet I could get to the end of the game without dying. And that was basically it. But it wasn't like, so there are some people that will learn hit rotations and like learn AI manipulations and maybe get people, get bosses in an AI loop. I don't really play that way. What I wanted to do was to see if I could play the game my way and get to the end without dying. So literally just get good, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, it took 12 streams.
That's
so
impressive.
Not that long. But the Bloodborne any percent runs only 8 bosses.
Yeah, there's not too many. That's what's crazy about it. Because you don't have to do Garuman or the Moon Presence or the DLC.
No.
Like, could you imagine doing the DLC Deathless? Ooh.
I mean, like, have you seen the people doing like God Run and stuff like that?
I haven't.
Like, since
did they do everything?
Okay, so since I've been sort of like a viewer in a lot of these sort of hitless communities, you kind of see some of the insane challenges people are doing. So a popular one at the moment is Trilogy. So that's literally Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3 back to back to back hitless.
Crazy.
If you get hit in game 3, you start back at game 1.
Right. Yeah.
The entire run ends. But there are people like Happy Hob who have done God Run. So that's
and
Demon
Bloodborne.
Souls, Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3, Sekiro, and Bloodborne hitless.
Crazy. Holy crap. I saw one that he did, and I think he had Demon Souls at the end, the last one, and he died to the freaking tutorial boss at like Vanguard, I think, right at the beginning. And, oh, he was raging. I'm like, could you imagine that? Because I mean, even if you get through from start to finish, the bosses and everything, just one game is maybe 3 hours, 4 hours. And when you add like 4 or 5 or 6 on top of that, I mean, that's like a 15-20 hour stream. And to be like right at the end and to do that, oh man, that'd be tough. What was
it's crazy.
What was the hardest boss through Bloodborne? Like one that you can continuously die to, one you had to like really get good at?
Shadows.
So
Shadows of Yharnam was the one I died the most to. The one I was most afraid of was Amelia, which is like a second boss in the game or third boss in the game. But she has like real one-shot ability, and playing a Deathless, like she's got 2 attacks that can end you in one shot regardless of what you're doing. And because I wasn't learning hit rotations, because you can learn a hit rotation with Amelia, which means she never gets a hit off. You break each limb, move around, and just destroy her in like 2 minutes. But I wasn't doing that.
Yeah.
So she was the scariest, but Shadows I died the most to. They were, because it's 3 boss level enemies, and they are hard to keep track of mostly.
And it's not like they're all with swords coming at you. Like one is throwing fire at you, it's coming at you with the sword, one's kind of doing both.
Yeah, exactly. And that was sort of the trickiest fight. And that took me the longest to
figure
get
out
my head around. And even then, like the successful runs through when I got through Shadows, it always felt like it was a lucky run.
Yeah.
I was never actually fully confident with that fight. Definitely got better at it and more comfortable with it, but I was never fully confident. Every time I walked into that arena and a run was on, it was always like,
here we go. This is gonna be it. You know, I feel kind of what we were talking about earlier about like favorite bosses. One of the things that makes Lady Maria also probably my favorite boss in all of the Souls games. I really appreciate how close the lantern is right to the boss. There's no run-ups, there's no anything. It's just you die, you can just fight her right away in 5 seconds. So I appreciate that a lot. I almost
yeah, that's literally the game telling you the next fight is really difficult.
yes. What's so funny, I've played through Bloodborne. I've only played it twice, one on stream, one off stream. No, actually, I've played it 3 times. I played a New Game Plus off stream as well. All 3 times, I never died once to Lady Maria. I don't know why. I felt like kind of what you're saying. The dance of it was always so much fun, and I was always so hyped for it and excited. Yeah. And then I'd be like, oh damn, I beat her. Damn it. Okay, move on to Orphan of Cause. I actually didn't find Orphan of Cause that difficult either. All times like I've been able to defeat Orphan pretty quickly. But Ludwig and Lawrence, so freaking difficult. I could never. I struggle with them so much. It's like the craziness of where they're going and how just chaotic they are. I find it so hard to deal with as a boss.
Yeah, like I always get them mixed up. So the horse guy,
Ludwig
is a super difficult boss. I think mainly because of his just general size, and then he kind of, even though it's a good size arena, he kind of makes it feel so small, and he closes the distance really quickly.
Right.
But yeah, like I never really struggled with Koss either. But that said, like on my playthroughs, I'm generally, by the time I get to that kind of boss, I'm 20 levels over leveled. So like Koss on my like Koss on my first playthrough ever took me 8 attempts, and people in chat were like, that's not fair.
Right.
But it was like, you know, I was hitting him with the not the Moonlight Greatsword, Ludwig's Holy Blade.
Yeah.
And you can get him to stagger. It's not easy, but you can get him to stagger. So it didn't take a lot. But I'm normally sort of over leveled. But the interesting thing is, if you do a challenge run, you realize like at the end of the Deathless run, I was 20 levels under leveled.
Wow.
For Murgo's Wet Nurse. So like if you remember back to your playthrough, you fight Murgo, you're normally somewhere like level 90, level 100.
Sure.
It's a relatively easy fight. You set her on fire and you just crack on, right? Or use bolt paper and you just crack on. But fighting her at level 50, it's a very different fight.
Especially if you just get hit, or when she does like all the, I don't know, the saw attack or whatever with all the hands and knives and stuff. Like if you get caught in that, you're dead. She could just run you over.
Yeah, exactly. Like her the blender one that she does is I always got hit running around, but like all of her swipes, the big wind ups, they're all one shots at level 50. Like that's a death.
Right.
But yeah, I really enjoyed it, but that is probably as far as I take it. I did consider doing Demon Souls Deathless purely because I just found that game the easiest out of all of them.
Interesting.
But that would be a long run because technically there are no optional bosses.
Right, because there's no DLC, and you kind of got to go through all 5 worlds to the end to unlock the final one, or all 4 to the 5th
to unlock Alon or whatever his name is. Yeah, so like there are no optional bosses, so that would be a long stream. That's like a 12-hour run, 10-hour run.
Right.
But honestly, I kind of decided not to do that. I decided a little while back to kind of take a step back from Souls games. I was kind of burnt out on them, and we're now going to do something a bit different for a few months and see where it goes.
Are you kind of focusing more with like Horizon Zero Dawn? I've heard maybe some mentions of Ghost of Tsushima in there, maybe possibly. Are you kind of focusing more on those like story-based, like just more story-based general games?
I don't know. I mean, this is the permanent terror of being a streamer, right? Is what happens after we finish this game.
Right.
What do we do next? And you talk to any streamer and they worry. And I'm kind of in a little bit of a crossroads at the moment with my Twitch content, because I decided to rightly or wrongly, take a step away from Souls, and it's now trying to find out where I fit and what I want to do. Whenever I choose a new game, I put like 5 games that I want to play in a poll and sort of see what the community wants.
Gotcha.
What they want to see. And Horizon Zero Dawn won this poll, but yeah, Ghosts would be a good shout. I wouldn't mind playing that, but honestly, I'm kind of open at the moment to playing anything. I enjoy RPGs and story-based games. I'm a huge fan of like the Mass Effect series and like Skyrim and stuff like that. Games where there's actually a rich story that you can sort of get involved in.
Right.
But yeah, I'm kind of drifting at the minute, but I'm playing Horizon Zero Dawn. I'm like 12, 14 hours and I'm enjoying it so far. It's a super good game. I'm like rediscovering it all over again, so I'm loving it.
It's interesting as a variety streamer, just kind of like you almost have to wonder, like when you go to change it, you can kind of like pick similar games in a genre like the Souls genre or the RPG genre, and like a lot of viewers will kind of stick along with you, or at least you hope they will. But yeah, when you go from something like playing Dark Souls to all of a sudden playing like Hollow Knight to all of a sudden playing like Minecraft, that is big. That's like genre variety, and there'll definitely be some people who just are not into that. I
mean, the intersect in those Venn diagrams is really narrow, right? Whereas like Bloodborne, Dark Souls, Demon Souls, those are basically that's just a circle, right?
Or
that Venn diagram is full overlap,
right?
And it's just like trying to find something that, as you say, you can bring people across with you that might have joined you for Dark Souls but have decided to stick around for something else. And you know, we always worry about numbers and analytics, and you know, numbers will always take a bump, and if you change game, your numbers will dip. It's as simple as that, because the people that were just there for the game don't come back. And that's kind of the unfortunate side of Twitch, is like not everyone will always stick around, which is, you know, it is what it is, but it happens in real life as well.
Yeah, that's true. I definitely felt that a lot from going from Dark Souls 1 to Dark Souls 2. I've played them all like back to back to back. And when I was playing Dark Souls 1, I actually decided, like, my numbers were growing. I was like averaging 40, 50 viewers per stream. And that was the moment where I'm like, you know what, I'm going to leave my job. Everything's kind of lined up in sight for it. And so I left, went full time with content creation, doing podcasts, doing Twitch streaming and everything. And then I played Dark Souls 2, and there was a lot of people that did not come over to that. A lot of like the core people did, but all of a sudden it was going from like 50 viewers average per stream to now I'm averaging like 25 to 30. Oh,
you back?
Yep. I don't know what that was. Just kind of going all of a sudden from like averaging 40, 50 to like 25, 30. And it made me, I was kind of getting lost in the numbers as well, and then it started making me feel bad, and like I started having mental health problems from it, and just like having anxiety. And then there was a day where like I sat down in the morning to stream, and I just didn't want to press go live, because I'm like, I just felt my numbers declining. I thought it was something I was doing, and it was a weird feeling. So I relate very much with everything you just said right there.
Yeah, I mean, it's super scary, and it's like, I mean, I don't know if I qualify or would end up qualifying as a variety streamer. But as I say, I'm kind of trying to figure out what I'm doing at the moment. But like, I kind of feel like if you're going to be a variety streamer, it's like a slower journey. But the idea is that you're, like you say, the core, however many that is, moved from Dark Souls 1 to Dark Souls 2 to Dark Souls 3. And it's kind of like building that core and just very slowly adding a couple more people to that core.
Right.
That legitimately, we've all had this, right? When you mention on stream, I'm thinking about playing insert game, and people pipe up and stream, we'd watch you play anything. And that's true. Yeah. Those people absolutely will. But there are also 50% of the people that are just permanent lurkers in streams that might not.
Right.
And it's something that as a streamer, we kind of worry about. And it's like, I absolutely know that if I decided tomorrow to play Minecraft, I know I could sort of name 10 viewers that would definitely be there.
Right.
But the others, you don't know.
It's kind of like following someone for the person, the streamer, because you want them like as a friend, versus following for the game more, say, you know?
Yeah.
So, and I don't think one is, of course we would all want you to follow for the streamer, but like the reality is there's just going to be some people who are there for the content or just to watch this person play a game for the first time that I love and I want to see their reaction, and then they're moving on to this game that's totally different that I'm not interested in. So it's just, I think actually what you just said about variety streamers, slower growth, the core community will build up, it'll just take longer. I absolutely agree with that. On the flip side of that, one streamer who was doing a lot of variety content and is now just gung-ho like on one particular game, Doro44, love Doro to pieces so much, and he's been killing it with Genshin Impact, and it has made me ponder a little bit, like maybe should I just find one particular game, because some people, they kill it in like the Final Fantasy 14s, or they kill it in the Genshin Impacts or the Minecraft. I'm very similar boat as you. It's like I love playing variety games, but maybe is it better for growth to just pick one and stick with it? It's a weird boat to be in.
See, I wonder about this. So yes, I can absolutely see if you can find a game that you enjoy playing, that has constant new content and a strong community, then, and like that triangle works out and is good, then absolutely that's on to a winner, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know if you can force that. Like if you ask Doro how he got into Genshin, the story is wild.
I don't know if
but
it
was like the stars aligned, right? So absolutely ask him. I'm not going to tell you because it's his story, but like ask him how he got into Genshin, and he'll tell you, and it's a wild story. But it's kind of like it falls back to that other thing. I almost feel like it's something you have to fall into. It needs to be an organic thing. If you or I decided tomorrow, right, I'm going to be a new world streamer, and you kind of try and force it, I don't know if it would be as successful.
Right.
I think, this is the thing, right? We're kind of trying to figure out where we fit. We've been doing this I've been doing this since June last year. I'm still very new. If I think back to where I was 13 months or 15 months into my current career, proper newbie, right?
Right.
So it's about sort of managing our own expectations as well. A lot of people sort of assume that you can succeed really well in content creation super quickly, and some people do, and that's awesome. But like, it takes 7 years to become a doctor.
Right.
Streaming is a dream job. Sometimes it takes time.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. And yeah, it is different for some people in different journeys, and some people hit partner and will get crazy viewer numbers after like you've started streaming, and some people will get it before, and just different journey for everyone, I feel like. So
there are also people that started the same month as you or me that are sort of stable doing their thing to just sort of low-ish numbers. It's a
different journey.
Everybody's journey is different, and what people want to get out of streaming is different as well, right?
Right. I think one great way to just kind of build a community on Twitch is, of course, creating content on other platforms. And I know that you do, in fact, like create content on YouTube as well. And I have binge watched all of your YouTube videos that are at least published. I haven't seen the PC unboxing.
Apologize.
No, apologize at all. I really do love like a lot of the styles of like giving tips and tricks for fellow streamers. Do you have any planned future content, whether for YouTube or TikTok, or even though we mentioned earlier about TikTok, but like any new content ideas coming up on the horizon?
A couple. So I've got a vlog that I recorded on the holiday. That's just like an IRL vlog that I need to edit. I literally have 2 hours of footage on my PC that I keep staring at, thinking that's a lot of footage to watch, but I need to watch it and I need to edit it.
Yeah.
I've got another one that's kind of like a build thing. I've got it here actually. I bought a Wi-Fi mesh system.
I saw on Twitter.
Yeah, so I bought that because the Wi-Fi in my house is garbage. Like, it's good in this room. I've got gigabit in here. Yeah. And my Wi-Fi here is like 800 meg. But if I walk 12 feet out that door, I have no Wi-Fi. So
interesting.
I'm going to be doing that.
I'm super intrigued with that because literally everything you said, I have the exact same issue. Right behind me, like gigabit internet, and then you walk 15 feet out in the living room through the walls. It's just so sporadic and disconnecting. So I'm definitely going to be paying attention for that video for sure.
Yeah, but as far as like hints and tips and stuff. Like I've got stuff that I'll helpfully talk to people about, but I just kind of feel like there are lots of other creators out there that just do that kind of content much better than I could. And my thing is, like, I tried initially to script out videos, and I learned from that I'm bad at reading off scripts. Like I just don't. I get nervous for some reason. I get nervous. I get flustered. And it just feels wrong. Whereas like where I'm comfortable is just sort of rambling into a camera like I'm doing now. So like the vlog content and maybe build log content is a bit more comfy for me. And it does mean that I end up spending more money than I probably should on just random stuff so that I can then make a video about it. I did like about an HDMI matrix. I'm literally sitting next to a Asus TUF 4K monitor that's on the floor.
Ooh. Hell yeah.
That I'm tempted to do a video on. But it's not like stuff I'm just buying for YouTube. It's just stuff I'm buying for my thing for my setup that I could make content about. And I've got a big project kind of bubbling away. So Aaron and I are potentially going to be moving house next year. And the place we're going to move is going to have a garage, right? But the plan is I want to put a false wall up so that when you open the garage door, it's short. It's like 10 feet deep.
Okay.
And then behind it is going to be a stream room that I've literally build from scratch. So the idea would be like a proper build log where I build my ideal stream room.
That would be so cool.
Yeah.
Dude, that would be super cool.
The centerpiece of it is going to be that Lian Li DF05 desk.
Some of the best. Do you have a sit-stand desk out of curiosity?
I don't at the moment, but that one is. So I don't know if you've seen it, but that Lian Li desk is a dual ATX PC case desk.
Interesting. Like it has the PC built in it?
It's just a case, so it's got mounting for two effective PCs inside it and fans and all that. Oh, but it's also a sit-stand desk.
Gotcha.
And it's got a glass top.
What? That's crazy.
It's crazy. I Google it after this, but it's crazy. So I want to get that. It is crazy expensive, but it'd be worth it.
Lian Li has like the best cases, I swear. Like I got a
the O11 is insane.
Yeah, I really want to get one myself for sure. Hold on 1 second. Someone's like, do you hear that in the background? Someone's like air blowing. It's what?
Is that a Roomba?
No, it's someone's like blow drying right outside my place. I'm gonna close my door real quick. all three of our dogs were like in here, and I knew that if one of them was out behind the door and the other two in here, they were just gonna whine his butt off. So I had to kind of kick them all out for a minute. But yeah, it's the good old apartment life, I swear.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, at least when it comes to like monitors and stuff, I recently just got like 3 like 4K monitors, and it's been such.
You're running the Ultra Gears, right?
Yeah, they're the LG GP 950s or something. They're 4K 144 hertz, and nice. I originally just wanted 1 and 2 like 1080p ones, and then it just, when I went online to buy them, they had 3 available, and I'm like, I mean,
fine.
I mean, they all look nice, and I mean, yeah. So I
just a cool $3,000 on monitors. It's fine.
Oh, it's great. But like playing like Stardew Valley. Not that Stardew Valley uses 144 frames, but like I've played like Apex and stuff with it spanned across all 3, and it definitely stretches and looks kind of funky, but it's so cool having triple monitors. I originally was using my like ultra wide that's behind me that I have no idea what to do with now, and I wanted to get like one of those. Have you seen those like super ultra wides that are effectively like 2 screens merged in one?
Oh, the Odyssey G9.
Yes, that.
Yeah. I
wanted to get that, but like I felt like it'd be weird for my head to be left and right. I wanted something in the middle, and they don't make like a 78-inch triple version.
Thankfully.
That would be crazy. I mean, honestly, if they did make like these 3 monitors and merge them together, I would be interested in that. If they could be divided up into like sections.
I'm just trying to think how wide that would be on the diagonal, because the G9 is a 49-inch diagonal. So you'd be looking at something ridiculous, like
75 inches or something.
78-inch, diagonal.
That'd be crazy. Like 48
It would
by
weigh a
9.
ton.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think people have said the 49-inch like Samsung one is like 30 pounds or something.
Yeah.
That'd be crazy.
That's crazy.
But I love talking tech with people because like there are some, it's always interesting. There's some people I've seen on Twitch who just can kill it, literally streaming off of their PlayStation 4 and using like a $50 microphone. And then there's some people, you know, who like get all the tech and the lights and the camera and the microphone and all that. And not saying one's better than the other, because it really does truly depend on like the personality and the community. Absolutely. And the person. Like having a $400 mic isn't going to make a crappy person better, or like a crappy kind of, but it is always fun when you get that new microphone or when you get that new headset or something. It's always fun to kind of put it together for sure.
Absolutely. And like, I kind of look at it like I dread to think how much I've spent on this small room in the last 18 months. But like, I kind of look at it as it's kind of like part of my hobby, right? I enjoy streaming, and part of that for me is buying tech. Like, I don't need a dual PC setup to stream, but I like building computers. Exactly. So I built a second computer. Do you know what I mean? I don't need 3 monitors, but it's nice. It's nice and it's convenient. We go back to that, you know, spending a little bit of money to have that convenience. Having one monitor purely like vertical for chat is just like super convenient.
I tried to do the vertical monitor and it was like driving my OCD so crazy. Like even though, I had OBS on all of it with like a chunk of it for chat, and then I tried it with like just having chat on it, and my brain just would not see like 2 normal monitors and 1 vertical monitor. My brain just kept driving me crazy, so I like ended up turning it back. But it's fun for playing, you know, like Stardew Valley once an occasion, or having all 3 out for games. But yeah, having more monitors. Some people tell me like they stream just on one single monitor. They like have the game and it's almost like all their overlays, they're playing what they see. I don't know how people can stream with one monitor, but if you can do it, more power to you.
Yeah, I mean, there's some cool stuff. I initially, when I was on a single monitor, I tooled around. Slobs has an interesting thing where you can have a HUD that doesn't get picked up by the game capture.
Right, yeah.
So your chat can be on screen so you can read it, but it doesn't get picked up by game capture, which is really clever. But yeah, like I tried one single monitor and I ended up having my chat on my phone. And it was just like, it was painful. But like, because I work in this room as well, like, and I do code and stuff, so having multiple monitors for productivity reasons was like, it was a good additional argument to be like, fine, I'll get 3 monitors or 2 monitors. And but yeah,
the productivity increase from having multiple monitors is just mind-blowing. Like just being able to have more things up is so handy. Kind of one other aspect of like paying for gear and stuff, one thing that I was interested in talking about, I know you probably heard about the recent update from Twitch last night, about allowing viewers to boost streams. What are your thoughts on that idea? I saw you mentioned it a little bit on Twitter, but like, do you think Twitch is just being greedy for more money? Do you think there's anything beneficial out of it? What are kind of your thoughts?
I mean, Twitch has always been trying to more aggressively monetize the platform, right? And depending on who you talk to, you know, there are people that sort of are saying that Twitch as a platform still isn't profitable, and I'm inclined to agree. I'm inclined to sort of like to have the servers and the platform available and the encoding available for the volume of content that they produce. Like a $4.99 sub doesn't cover it, you know what I mean? And they take half of that. I have no issue with it personally. If somebody wants to pay, or their community wants to pay to get a streamer a bit more visibility for whatever reason, right? Then more power to them. I think, yeah, fair. You know, it's one of those things. You never know how you're gonna break in streaming, right? Some people want to become the next Pokemon. Some people just want to do it as a hobby.
True.
And something could happen. You could boost and then it could just blow up, right?
Right.
My concern is that what the boost really means is you don't go on front page, you just appear in 100 more recommended lists.
It's like an impression more so than like an actual click.
Yeah, like you just appear in a couple more recommended lists. So it'd be interesting to see what the transfer rate of, you know, however much it is. I think that the pictures I saw was like somewhere like from $4 to $15 or whatever. What kind of what actual translation $15 worth of investment gets?
Right.
It's not something that I would do, because I just think, like, personally, it feels like inorganic growth.
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of wonder how, like, we've all had this. You post on Instagram and you use the hashtag Twitch on your post, and you get a message in Insta saying, I can give you lots of genuine, real followers.
Right.
You know, and you kind of wonder what the actual difference is. And I suppose because what you're effectively doing is you're artificially putting your stream in front of more people outside of the existing algorithm. Now, Twitch could just do that anyway by changing the algorithm, but they've decided to monetize it. Do I agree with that? Probably not. Yeah. I mean, they demoed the boost thing. Like, I know Breezeaholic was in the boost program. Beta.
Yeah.
And it was through channel points rather than actual money. And he said he got a couple extra views out of it, but not loads. But it's not something I have an issue with. If somebody wants to pay, or their communities want to pay to get them a bit more visibility, then all power to them. And I hope what I hope is that it's worth the money.
Right.
Because if it turns out to be a lottery ticket for nothing, then that's a scam.
I agree.
But if there are actual tangible benefits to it, then fine. It's not something that I feel like that I want to do. I'm kind of happy with my style of growth and my rates of growth, and it means that I think for me it's a much more personal growth rate. But yeah, if they do it, they need to be able to show results. You need to be able to look at your analytics and say, I got boosted on that day, and I can tell because spike.
Right. It's weird that they kind of rolled this out and they didn't have, I don't know, like evidence to back up any of their claims, or just kind of like data to show that this would be effective by utilizing it. Yeah. So the two things that kind of came into my head about it is very common on other social media sites like Instagram and Facebook to pay and promote your stuff.
Pay to promote your tweets, right?
Like it's a thing. I think what rubbed me really wrong about it is the fact that Twitch is asking the viewers to do it. Like, if they just had an option for the streamer to pay to promote, I don't see that as big a deal. But when it comes to the viewers and they're deciding, should I give $5 for a sub, $5 worth of bits, or should I give $5 to boost the stream? Maybe they'll get something out of it. Maybe they'll get a spike, maybe not. Like, it's like kind of like you said, we'll kind of have to see what happens with it. I think it was just putting it forward that the viewers themselves are the ones boosting. That just feels really,
and Twitch takes
weird.
100% of it as well.
Right. It just feels really weird.
Yeah, that to me. And so in that instance, realistically, for it to be worth it for the streamer, if we're going to talk purely about financials, right, that means a $5 boost needs to realistically result in 2 subs. Right. To make the money back. Let's be fair. Let's make it now just 1 sub, because that $5 boost could have gone to a $5 sub, which is So otherwise, the streamer's just going to turn it off. If you're looking at it from a pure money point of view, right? You could look at it at the long-term growth rate. Like, if you get regularly boosted, you get a few more views, a few more follows. That down the line could lead to something. But again, like, it would be nice to see data around it. Twitch it's one of the best. Like, I work in data analytics, right? And the data that they give the effective users, the streamers, access to is literally top tier. There are, and I'm not joking, £100 million turnover companies that don't have access to this quality of data for what they're selling, right? I worked for a company that literally couldn't tell you how much they had sold last month.
Wow, holy crap.
Right. So
Weird.
yeah. So like the amount of data that we have access to, Twitch absolutely has data to back this up or not. But they just shared none of it, which doesn't fill me with a lot of confidence that the scheme would work.
I'm just like waiting for Twitch to make a new update or make a new announcement and they just knock it out of the park and like everybody's happy with it. But I just keep getting disappointed time and time again.
Well, you can't make everyone happy, right?
True,
you can't make everyone
true.
happy all of the time. It feels like, though, you're right. It feels like Twitch is making missteps.
After missteps.
Yeah, it feels like the community asks or sort of requires certain things, and Twitch either slow walks it or provides other stuff that people are like, "What are you talking about? What do you mean italic text? We wanted flags."
Right.
And it was like, do you know what I mean? But that said, Twitch services millions of streamers, and we operate in relatively small communities. So we don't have access to obviously within our communities have all been very, very vocal about what we'd like to see and the changes that we'd like to see. And we're kind of seeing steps towards that, including these new verification steps, which are actually, I think, honestly, we're talking about, we want Twitch to make the right announcements. That was a good announcement. I didn't see very many people complaining about that.
I agree.
And within the communities that we operate in, we've all been very, very vocal about what we want to see. But one of the problems about, going back to social media is the way the cookies run and the way that social media runs. The longer you operate in those realms, the more effectively closed off you become. Google, Facebook, Twitter, Insta, not so much Insta, but like effectively close you off in your own echo chambers because it increases your click-through rates.
Right.
So we don't see the full quantum of requests that go into Twitch. So it's entirely possible, however unlikely, that people were really asking for italic text in chat. I'm using this as a stupid example, right?
Right.
Clearly nobody was asking for that, but like, do you know what I mean? So they're pushing stuff out. Developers spend a lot of time on it. Somebody's asking for it. My problem is what I suspect, though, is that senior management at Twitch asking for it. They're not taking a lot of community guidance on it.
Yeah, it almost feels.
Yeah, but like these new verification things, I think were a very good step. A step in the right direction, definitely.
I definitely agree. It just kind of feels like community's asking for one thing and then they'll either try to like slow trickle roll it out while in the back like thinking of the next monetization tool to make them more money. It's weird.
Exactly. Right. Flags don't earn them money.
True.
Right.
True. Very true. I mean, I've seen so many people just on Twitter. Have you contemplated at all ever making the switch to YouTube gaming, streaming on YouTube? What are your thoughts on that?
I've thought about it. Having used the YouTube streaming UI, I think if I did, my streaming would go down the toilet. I mean, my streaming wouldn't, but like my viewership would. I feel like YouTube gaming and YouTube live streaming is good if you are already big on YouTube.
Like have content behind you.
Yeah, exactly. Like you need millions of subs that get notified when you go live. Because if you go onto YouTube gaming now and try and find a stream, it's hard work, right? And not only that, once you're on the stream, on the right-hand side is 20 YouTube videos. Everything on that page, apart from the stream, is trying to take you away from the stream and away from YouTube gaming.
Yep.
Onto YouTube's traditional long-form content, which is what they get more money from.
Right.
So, I don't think it would work. It's interesting. I was saying to a friend the other day, what we really need is Mixer. We need a legitimate streaming competitor, and honestly, Mixer was.
Yeah.
But Microsoft just didn't want to keep losing money because the streaming platforms aren't particularly profitable, which is why YouTube gaming has been a thing for 10 years or 7 or 8 years.
Now it's really
But they're not
kicking off.
investing lots of money in it because it's not particularly profitable. Twitch is the only one actually investing in it. And you kind of wonder how long they're going to chase the losses. But this is why they're aggressively monetizing things like boosts and taking half of our subs and doing other things as well.
One question I think would be pretty interesting to ask when it comes to being a streamer on Twitch. Like many of us encounter frustrations, kind of we talked about earlier about like backseaters, spoilers, and aggressive people in chat. So in your opinion, what do you think are some of the best Twitch etiquette rules out there for that more people should be made aware of out of curiosity?
I think they all come down to the same thing. So every now and then I will wake up in like a bit of a mood, and you'll be able to tell because I will tweet something along the lines of, please don't be this person, and then complain about something that happens on Twitch.
Yeah.
But they all come down to the same concept, and it's that remember that streamers are human beings, right? We are people, just human beings. Yes, we're entertainers. Yes, we can sometimes make fools of ourselves, and we play games, and we interact.
How many bits?
How many bits
exactly.
for? Yeah. How much money can I pay to make you humiliate yourself? How many subs to do this? Just general boundary pushing as well. But it all comes down to just remember that this is a person. Would you say what you've just said to them if you bumped into them on the street? The answer is normally no.
Right. Walking up to someone.
That's as far as Twitch etiquette. It's just we're people. Just be a good person. It's not hard. In fact, it's easier to be a good person than it is to be a crappy person.
I agree. No, I think that's a great. Would just like think of streamers as fellow human beings and just treat them with respect and empathy. 100%.
Yeah, and like a lot of people like I what was it? Somebody asked me. I was like in a funny mood on stream, right? And I was singing bits and pieces of songs that were just coming into my head. And somebody said, "Oh, I want you to sing on my birthday." And I said, "Well, I don't really sing. I don't really do that."
Mm-hmm.
And they said, "Well, ideally, I'd want you to sing this song." And I said, just as an aside, "Oh, I know all the words to that song."
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's a song that I'd listened to in my teens.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, it's all settled then." And I kind of said, "Well, no, I'm not a performing monkey.
Right.
I'm, and like the comeback was, well, you are though, but you're an entertainer. And yes, I'm an entertainer, but I'm an entertainer on my terms.
Right.
Not your terms. I decide what my boundaries are and what I will and won't do. And if there's an intersection in the Venn diagram of what you'd like and what I'll do, then brilliant. That's where we can exist." But I kind of feel like far too often, and it does happen far more often in female streamers than male streamers, but viewers will come in and just assume that they can be disrespectful or how many bits to, right?
Right.
And it's like, no, what?
Right. Yeah, I think what makes it frustrating too is there are some streamers out there who are like that, who will just say like, I'll eat something super spicy for 100 or whatever, like X number of whatever, or that's fine,
but those are their terms, right? But you can't.
Right. Some viewers think that applies to everyone, and it's like on an individual basis, not on an all streamers basis.
Exactly. You can't walk down. Okay, I'm going to make a bit of a lewd analogy here, right? You can't walk down the street in the red light district, turn 2 corners, exit the red light district, and then expect what was okay down there to be okay over there. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, fine, that streamer does it. Okay, well, go there then.
Maybe they'll sing you happy birthday.
Yeah.
Right. I completely agree. And I think it's some people, and it also stems back to the fact some people are on Twitch for different reasons. Those people who like just want to make as much money as they can on it
which is fair. I mean, a lot of people do that. Like, you bake cupcakes to make as much money as possible. Some people do it because they like baking cupcakes.
Exactly.
But like, I think a lot of it, what it comes down to is a lot of streamers are uncomfortable saying no because they're worried that that person will leave and not come back. Right. 95% of streamers stream to 5 or fewer. So if one person makes an uncomfortable query and you turn around and say, that's not okay in my stream, that's 20% of your viewership out the window, right?
Right.
But, and it's easy for me to say because I stream to anywhere from 20 to 40 people. So like 1 or 2 people going doesn't really affect me too much.
Right.
But if I was going to give any advice to a newer streamer, is sort of figure out the vibe of what you want your stream to be. If you want your stream to be $5 and I'll drink a beer through my sock, then fine, that's your stream and that's fine.
Right.
If you want your stream to be a different way, and like I know streamers that their stream is completely PG and they don't allow swearing, and that's fine too. Mm-hmm. But if you can figure out the kind of vibe that you want and then enforce those rules with friends, with subs, with VIPs, with mods with everyone. Because also, like I started recently saying I don't want anyone talking about their age in my chat.
Yeah. Because
my chat's registered as 18 plus, and if you tell me in chat that you are under 18, I will ban you. Because you're not supposed to be here, and it keeps you safe and it keeps me safe, right?
Same. Yep.
So every time I started saying this in stream, regulars would meme the rule. They'd be like, oh, it's okay for me, I'm 69.
Right.
And it's like, the problem is, so if you say, I don't want anyone to talk about my age in chat, and then someone says, it's fine, I'm 420.
Right.
They've subverted the rule and made it clear to the people that you're actually talking to that there are no consequences to breaking the rule. So you have to enforce it. It's almost more important to enforce it with your regulars, the people that you can joke around with, than the people that you want to actually follow the rules, if that makes sense.
No, that absolutely does. It's kind of, I mean, it's just like, I don't know how to say this in like, but like training a dog, and I don't mean in like any kind of mean or way or whatever, or like analogy, or training a kid, or like teaching a kid, or you have to, if you're saying going to do something, you got to do it. There's consequences to actions. So if you say like don't talk about your age, and somebody says their age, you should at least, and if it's like a regular, maybe it could be something as simple as like a message, or maybe calling them out in like a joking way, but kind of like but seriously, like let's not talk about our age kind of thing. I feel like with streaming, as I've been doing it for longer, it's a lot of newer people coming in. If they do something, I'm usually pretty like quick and easy, like, hey, no backseating, no spoilers, don't do that, or you'll get timed out, or like it'll lead to
super glad you're here, but that's not what we do.
Exactly. It almost becomes more difficult, I feel like, with mods or VIPs or regulars who have been there a long time, and you're like, why are you pushing me like this? Like it almost kind of, do you kind of feel that sometimes? Not with anyone in particular, but sometimes regulars will push you and you're like, I know we're friends, but like, don't do that, come on.
And sometimes, sometimes you can deal with it with a bit of a look or a bit of a tone change.
Right.
Like people can pick it up. Like, most people can kind of read the room. Like I've had a couple of viewers and they're fine. They're good people, and they'll tiptoe the line every now and then. They'll cross it, and I'll let them know that they've done it kind of non-verbally. There have been 1 or 2 occasions where I've had to sort of talk to that person outside of stream. I've just sent a message on Discord to say, listen, I appreciate what you were doing. I know where it was coming from. It's not okay in my stream.
Heads up next time.
So I'm asking you nicely as a human being, don't do that again.
Right.
The implication being, if you do it again, this is going to sound horrible, right? But if somebody continues to breach boundaries
and push,
I genuinely don't care who they are. Like I've had people in my real life that have been abusive or toxic, like close people, and I've just gone, yeah, I'm done. We're done now. That's it. We don't get to talk anymore. And that in the long run is better. But again, it's hard when you're a small streamer. That's really hard to do. Can you imagine you've got like 1 mod or 2 mods, and one of them keeps acting up and pushing boundaries and like breaking rules.
Right.
It's a hard decision to make, but it's I mean, I'm 34, right? I'm too old for this shit. Like,
No,
I don't have
really.
patience and time for that. Like, I will, after a warning and like having a heart to heart with somebody and saying this is not okay, if they continue to do it, I will ban that person and not think about them again because they didn't respect me enough to follow the rules.
I agree.
And that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, that's really what it is respect. I mean, that's like the core issue of it at the end of the day. And if somebody just keeps pushing it, whether they think it's funny or they're being lighthearted or whatever they have behind it, at the end of the day, it's like you keep disrespecting me and keep putting me in an uncomfortable position where I have to make these calls in these circumstances. And if you were a real friend, you wouldn't do that. So yeah, that's where kind of it comes to after that. When I was first streaming, probably like 3 or 4 months into my stream, one of my very regular viewers who was there like every single day and was chatting like the entire time was usually kind of a little bit of had an asshole edge to him and was kind of a pusher in some things, and we just all kind of joked it off and stuff. But there did come a point where they just went too far, and eventually I was in that position and had to make a tough call. So, but I feel better after it. I mean, of course, it's not meant with any kind of hateful feelings or anything. It's just like, maybe we're not meant to be together. Maybe exactly, my vibe isn't your vibe, and that's fine. And kind of what we said even earlier, like once you define who you are as a content creator, as a streamer, as a human being, like some people will gravitate towards you harder and some people 100%. Will push away. So that's not good or bad. It's just kind of is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. And that's fine. And like, there's an audience for everyone. Yes. And it's just it's the audience finding the streamer, but the streamer finding the audience as well, I think.
Completely agree. So I do have a couple more questions for you, my friend, before we wrap up here. One of my absolute favorite ones, I usually do ask everyone this one and love hearing everyone's answer. What is one thing that you have loved about streaming on Twitch, Justin?
It's the people. You meet so many, like I have made, and I'm not, people like relegate the term online friends. I've made friends on Twitch, legitimately made friends, people that I am looking forward to meeting IRL when I go to TwitchCon next year. Like, and that's it. It's the people. And it's weird because me as a person in real life, I really like struggle with liking people in general. Like I like maybe 4 people, right?
More introverted, maybe.
Pardon?
More introverted, maybe. Very
introverted. Like, yeah. But like I've met so many amazing people and people that I'm genuinely looking forward to meeting in the outside world. So yeah, 100%. It's the people and the communities that I would never have ever met, yourself included, like without this silly website.
This crazy place where everyone just comes in one and just we find video games and just things to connect with. I always feel like video games or whatever your content is, you're just chatting, your chess, your video game, your craft, arts and crafts. It's almost like the middle piece that brings 2 people together. It's like, oh, this person is playing Bloodborne and I like Bloodborne. Let's watch you play. Oh, he seemed like a cool dude. Hey, what kind of food do you like? What kind of movies do you like? And then just the friendship begins.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's crazy how when you realize that we actually have more in common with more people than we think, right? So
100%.
I'm a very insular person. So meeting new people just doesn't really happen for me. But Twitch kind of forces you to meet new people, and it kind of opens your eyes that actually, because so my initial perception of online gaming in general was quite negative, right? My first foray into that was like I played a little bit of Halo and like Modern Warfare online. Super toxic, super horrible.
Right.
Didn't want to do it ever again, right? I was done. I was like, yep, that's me. I just don't play online. It's fine. So being able to like be on a website like Twitch and seeing that the vast majority of people that I interact with are genuinely nice, open, welcoming, just genuine people has been, it's been a huge eye opener for me, and I'm better for it.
I completely agree with all of that and relate so much to all of that. Conversely though, what's been one thing you do not enjoy about streaming on Twitch?
The harassment, like, I mean, I don't get targeted with a lot, but there's a lot of stuff that is just generally, the perception is, oh, you're on the internet, this is just the way it is, right?
On people
you should
stuff.
Just get used to it. People are mean on the internet, and my response to that is,
they don't have to be.
Yeah, you don't be mean. Like, what? Like, can you imagine if as part of your job, right, you're sitting at your desk and part of your job was just to live along with people walking past your desk and just shouting abuse at you and carrying on. Like, and oh, you work at that desk, that's just what happens. You should just carry on working there.
Not the vibe.
No. It's like, it's just no. And then, like, if I can add on a sort of secondary, it's the general perception that Twitch isn't a real or new media in general, right, isn't a real income stream. It's like it's you know, if you're affiliate, you can make money on this platform,
right?
Like it absolutely is.
And some people are like super smart with combining. I think we talked earlier about like full-time streaming versus part-time streaming. I feel like it's a lot better idea for a lot of people to go into full-time content creation, like the umbrella of it, whether that means YouTube and Twitch and maybe Patreon, you know, OnlyFans, whatever you do there, or Fan House or Ko-fi, or just kind of creating like multiple streams of income. That way, if anything ever does happen with Twitch, well, you got YouTube and your Patreon to kind of like give you some ground. And sometimes I feel like so many streamers put all of their eggs in Twitch, and I think that can come back to bite you in the butt, you know, if you're not
absolutely
careful.
But it's interesting. So, like, realistically, if you have a 9 to 5, you are effectively relying on one person to pay you.
Right. Scary.
Right. Your entire livelihood relies on one person or one company, let's say. Your boss in the US, especially, your boss can fire you for damn near no reason, almost in any state. And then you have no job.
Right.
So diversifying your income, especially if you want to be a content creator, is just smart business. Yes. That's all it is. It's smart business. Diversifying your income in any industry is smart business. If you can have 5 income streams and then you get fired, it's fine. That's a 20% reduction. You can kind of survive.
Absolutely.
So yeah, and realistically, Twitch kind of affords you that because your Twitch income is, unless you are sort of one of those people that has like one oiler in your chat that gives 100 subs every couple of weeks and they're the only one, effectively your income stream from Twitch is 100 people all giving $2 each, right, or $3 each. So that is a very diversified income stream, albeit under one umbrella and then paid out once a month. But you're already diversifying. So yeah, doing that again on other platforms is just good business.
I completely
If you want to
agree.
look at it as a business, it's good business.
Yeah, when you kind of take a step back from Twitch, if you want to make this a career, a business, a side hustle, like if you do see that side of it, once you start to look at Twitch and streaming and all that as a side hustle business perspective, and that you have to show up to work on time, you got to give it your all, you got to be ever learning new skills and improving, that's kind of the pathway that will take people to partnership and beyond, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of see it that way.
It's about, yeah, just taking it, and not to say that, you know, people don't take it seriously, but if you take it serious and treat it like that, then yeah. But that said, Twitch and content creation and entertainment in general, right? So you lump into that sort of acting or singing or whatever. It's entertainment. It's one person standing up in front of other people and trying to make them stay. Can feel so freaking random.
Yeah.
There are streamers out there that we both know that are world class that just don't seem to be getting the love that we know that they deserve, and it's bizarre. Like you can't put your finger on it. You don't know what it is. and it's weird. And then some people just like fucking explode, and you can't understand that side of it either, right? It's so weird.
It really is.
But putting the work in and putting the effort in and taking it seriously has to stack the odds in your favor. It's got to move that needle slightly.
I agree.
Because if you don't put the work in, you definitely won't get anywhere.
Yeah.
The people that seem to explode and come out of nowhere are still definitely putting the work in. They've just had a different journey. There's no way you can't succeed on a platform like Twitch and not be working hard. It doesn't work that way. Unless you're like, I'm going to make this analogy. Unless you're someone like Snoop Dogg, right? Who started streaming on Twitch as a joke and has like 10,000 people watching and walks away from his PC and forgets that he's on stream, right?
Right.
And he still had thousands of people watching, and it was bizarre. Like, those are edge cases. Those are complete statistical anomalies. If you work hard, you're more likely to succeed than if you don't.
I would add though, Snoop Dogg or PewDiePie or whoever, they already have like these pillars built up elsewhere of this fan base.
Yeah,
so when they
absolutely.
come to a new platform of any kind, there's going to be people who are like, yo, I'm on Twitch and I like Snoop Dogg. Let's see what this is about. But yeah, I do agree. And a big random factor always feels like raids. Like you can go multiple streams and have no raids, and then you can have one stream where you get raided like 8 times. And I was talking to a friend a few weeks back about how he was kind of thinking luck has a huge part to do with success on Twitch. And I think luck can have a bit of an impact, but it's almost like if you get raided by Shroud, or you just a 20,000 viewer streamer raids you, if you don't have the quality or the content or the confidence or the persona to be like, I can handle thousands of viewers, you're just gonna, most people will just kind of flop and be like, I don't know what to do with this many viewers. Oh my God, I'm freaking out. And then it just kind of gets flooded away. So I think you have to have that platform and yourself and the confidence to hold however many viewers you think your ship should be able to hold,
Yeah, absolutely. And like, it's interesting. So you get like, you do see it every now and then, like a small streamer will get raided by 5,000 viewers, and they'll get 1,000 follows off the back of it. Yeah, thousands of follows off the back of it, because it's like, it's always fun to do when you're in a raid and just trigger that follow alert, right, and see what happens. But yeah, if you're not engaging enough and you haven't sort of put the time in to sort of get where you're going and figure out what you want to do, then how many of those thousands of people come back tomorrow when you go live?
Not a lot.
Yeah, but it's one of those things. Like I think it comes down to being comfortable in what you're doing. Like, I'm comfortable doing this, right? I'm not comfortable in a group of people in real life, but I'm comfortable doing this, and it comes across on camera. And I've had people say that they enjoy the vibe of the stream, and they can, from my point of view, what I sort of feel is like, they're only enjoying the vibe of the stream because I'm enjoying the vibe of the stream.
Right. And it's interesting too, as streamers, we almost have like a level of confidence with a certain viewer count. Like, at least myself, if I have 50 people watching, I'm fine. It'll be good. But all of a sudden, if somebody's like, dude, there's like 500 people in here, I'm not used to 500. I don't know what I'd do. There's like a weird anxiety to it. Do you kind of feel that sometimes? You're like, there's 100 people watching me? What?
I got hit with how many was it? Like 120, 130 person raid the other day. And I kind of freaked out. Not gonna lie. I was like, oh God. And like, chat was moving way faster than normal. And I was like, what do I do?
Right.
But it was like partially for entertainment and partially because I was like, okay, I need to settle down and get in.
Right.
And somebody in chat said, just play like you're playing on your own. And as a joke, I went, okay, and just sat and played silently for 2 minutes. I was like, do you really want me to play like I'm on my own, or do you want me to carry on doing what I was doing? And it was just a good way for me to break the ice. But it's interesting when you get a big raid like that, because like, one of the things that I like to look at to see if a raid was successful from me as like the recipient is if you see the spike and then the level on the analytics. If you can get the raid and then hold the raid, for me, that's a successful raid. Getting a spike and a drop is is fun. It's bound to happen, especially if like the communities aren't, you know, the Venn diagram is quite a narrow crossover.
Right.
It's like bound to happen, but like getting the spike and then the level off, that for me, that's like, I did my job. I worked hard. I held those additional 30 or those additional 50.
I always see it too as like, if I get raided by somebody, how many of those people that came in with the raid either stick along for that stream, but more importantly will come back in the future. So yeah, if there's been times I've been raided by people and they'll follow and then just like never hear from them ever again, which of course is fine. Like there's so many people out there on Twitch, and maybe communities don't vibe up, so many things, but like, yeah, if I get raided and then get a new follow and that person like keeps continuously coming back, it always feels like, I don't know, not that I'm not appreciative of every raid. Like every single raid is a huge gift to another streamer that you entrust with your community. But when you make real friends and form friendships from meeting someone else's community, that's the big thing I love about like your streams and Happy Pigs and Doro. And there's the crossover between people. There's so much. You can see so many people in like everybody's stream, and just goes to show just how big Twitch is, but how small it is at the same time.
Yeah. But how good is that feeling though? You get somebody in from a raid and they follow and they chat for a little bit, and then like your next stream, they're there.
Right.
And it's like that feeling as well. That's a super good feeling. It's like, wow, okay. I managed to make a connection with it. However long that they were in the stream, you managed to make that connection. They've decided to come back.
Right.
Because it's a hell of a thing. Like if you think about it, people are, if you open Twitch now, if I open Twitch now, how many people are live? Hang on.
Probably
I just need to make sure. Yeah, it's being quiet. I have in my follow list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So not too many. But they didn't know you yesterday. They've gone onto Twitch, seen that you are live in that list, and gone, yep, I'll go there.
Right.
They've chosen you out of in their follow list, and then the million or so people that are live at that moment. That's like, yeah, that's a big thing.
I agree. It's like you almost feel to yourself like, I feel like I'm kind of on the right path. I feel like I'm kind of doing the right thing for sure. Last 2 questions though I got for you, Justin. These are 2 of my favorite ones. In your own words, what does streaming mean to you, my friend? It's a big one.
Yeah, that's a big one, right? What does streaming mean to me? I mean, streaming for me has been awesome. It's a way for me to interact with the world while I haven't been able to interact with the world, and it's allowed me to meet some amazing people. And what it means to me going forward is potentially building something that I never thought I'd be able to build. And yeah, it's just a big adventure. I don't really know. Like the main thing that it's afforded me is being able to interact with people when I wasn't allowed to leave my house. And obviously now we're allowed to, and I'm going to carry on because I freaking love it. But yeah, it just allows me to interact with people literally all over the world in a much more personal way than I've been able to do previously.
I love that. Yeah, we probably wouldn't have ever met, and so many of us would have never met in any crossover any way if not for Twitch and just, finding people online and saying hi in chat, and then just before you know it, we're having podcasts with each other, rating each other, we're gifting subs and hype trains and meeting each other at TwitchCon. And
exactly. Speaking of which, are you going to TwitchCon?
I don't have any plans for the 2022 one, at least yet. I've talked to my wife about it. Maybe I think it's down in the US. There's a San Jose one, I believe, and then there's
San Diego,
San Diego, and then there's also Amsterdam in Europe, I believe, right? I mean, honestly, I'd be down for the Amsterdam one. That sounds like fun.
I mean, I talked to Aaron about it, and like we're down to do San Diego, providing we can go, providing the travel ban is lifted and it's safe. We're going to turn it into like a vacation, like a 2-week vacation. We're going to do road trip around California and just do TwitchCon as well.
Dude, that would be so much fun.
It's going to be super fun.
We just need to like rent out a big old hotel and just have all the people there. That would be awesome.
Well, I mean, how cool would it be if we could like get however many of us together and do like an Airbnb?
Oh, that'd be so cool.
Right?
That would be one mighty selfie.
Exactly.
With everyone there. So very last one, probably one of the most important ones. Where can all of our viewers and listeners connect with you online?
Best place, if you want to see my content, is obviously on Twitch, LoweDownJustin. But outside of Twitch, the next platform I'm most active is going to be Twitter. I'm on there pretty much every day. I am producing YouTube content, but it is sort of because I have commitments with like full-time job and family and Twitch and whatever else. I'm literally producing YouTube as and when I can, rather than on a specific schedule. I can't commit to a schedule on YouTube. So the two platforms that I am the most active on are Twitch and Twitter, which the tag should be down here somewhere, right?
Yep, I will definitely link all of that down in the description below. It's also been on the screen as well, so definitely be sure to check those links out. Follow Justin everywhere on there. Thank you all seriously so much for watching and listening to this week's episode of the Zephcast. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to smash that like button for the almighty YouTube algorithm. It really does help the channel.
Like and subscribe,
yes,
guys.
Really does help out a lot. And if you want to see more of your favorite content creators, streamers, and podcasters in the near future, don't forget to subscribe 100%. It's absolutely free to do so. We'll be having even more exciting content coming up soon. Thank you all again for watching. ZephyrsXP, Low Down Justin, and I'll catch you on the next one, my friends.
Thanks, guys.
Much love, everybody.